G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of the Aussie Screen Printers Club. It's been a little bit, but we're back on the horse and keen to have a chat. We've got a guest on today, which is nice.
Mm.
So, Sam, how's things been? It's been a minute.
Yeah, yeah. It has been a minute back on the horse, as you say.
hmm
It's been hard, man. These last few months. Oh dear.
The start of the year's been a bit of a, it's gone very quickly. It's been a bit of a blur.
Yeah, that's how we feel. We've done the move and
Mhm.
it's been bonkers from beginning to end. And man, have we got stories to tell.
Oh, I bet.
Um, but how about you first? Well, you went away, didn't you? Went on holiday, I think, at some point. How'd that go?
Yeah, it was really good. It was nice. It was a bit of a we hired someone just before I went away, and that was a bit of a like, do we get them to start before? Do we get them to start afterwards? I don't want it to be like unfair on them that they just get thrown into the deep end as
Mm.
soon as they start, sort of thing. So we decided um, before, and she had 1 week of training, and then off I went. So,
Wow.
but did an unreal job. So
Okay.
that was really nice uh, to have things a little bit more looked after while I was away, because I think with the schedule that we had while we were overseas, it would have been hard to keep things
Mm.
flowing, and we had a few like pretty rush orders, like with a specific date for events and stuff, and there was a bit of back and forth with stock and artwork, and yeah, she was able to sort of coordinate that, which was nice.
So what was the main role that she was doing or is doing?
Yeah, she's doing sort of more customer service side of things. We're sort of pushing into more like stores and stuff this year, so
Yeah, right.
she's sort of been building that whole type of thing out, and then looking after the sort of stores and the customers there, but then also helping my side of just the general uniforms and merch and stuff as well.
So stores as an online thing, is that
Yeah,
so for
yeah.
your customers to sell their stuff through?
That's right. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, doing that for hopefully a lot of gyms and run
Yeah,
clubs and
right.
that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So should be interesting. It's been a bit of a eye opener. We've been working on it sort of all year, but yeah, it sounds easy, but there's a lot of moving parts, and we've had we've been doing some testing with some customers and finding out some pain points for both of us.
Mm. So let me just get my head around that. You create a store for a customer, they advertise their stuff to their clientele, and then is it that it's up for a limited amount of time? You gather all the orders, then you print them, or is it how does that side work?
Yeah, that's the idea. We'll start it always with a pre-order, so we can get like hopefully a good batch of orders to start with, to sort of pay for our time a little bit.
Yep.
And then we can have like an evergreen range that just sits there, and their members can order from throughout the year, and we sort of print on demand, I guess,
Okay.
and ship. And then sort of probably twice a year we'll do a big pre-order for like a winter drop and a summer drop,
Got
and
you.
hopefully do a bit of volume out of those ones.
Yep. Wow. And so the pricing, like, have you had to charge them to build a store or like how does that all work?
That's been the interesting bit, because at the start it's sort of evolved a fair bit since we first started working on it. And at the start, we were going to manage just the whole lot basically, and just give them like a percentage of the retail price that we were selling. But we figured that was really hard to scale if we've got 100 stores and we have to design and market each one of those.
Wow.
So we sort of changed it to, we sort of just, they choose their markup on top of our sort of like wholesale price, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, But originally, so when we moved to that, we still weren't charging for the store. But that's, I feel like they sort of needed some skin in the game, to push it because what we've found so far is they're not very good at pushing it.
Mm.
They put a couple of stories up at the start and then sort of let it go. Um, so now we've decided we'll charge a setup fee that covers sort of our cost. Then it doesn't really matter the size of the gym or the organization or whatever. Our cost of building the store is covered, and then
Mm.
whatever happens from there is whatever. So
Now, did you say that runs through Deco Network?
it is, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So is it quite easy to build, or is that a stupid question?
Uh, it's a work in progress. We're getting better. I'm hoping we can get down, like, have these sort of basically just set templates. And we're just changing colors and fonts and uploading the product. Um, but it's just sort of getting to know how the system operates and how things sort of affect other things, and then making sort of just a list that we can go through to check before we launch a store to make sure it all works.
Mm.
So that's been interesting.
User acceptance testing, making sure it all, and that will help you with the back end, right? Like that sitting inside Deco Network, that's you're running that as your shop management system now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was sort of mostly the reason we sort of started, well, a lot of the reason we started moving over to Deco as well to give us that functionality from a while back. Yeah.
And how's that been as well? Is that working out?
Yeah, it's been good now. We sort of have figured out most of the things we need to make it all work properly, and a couple workarounds for things that need a workaround. But it's been really good, and um, there's been times that you sort of like things come up here, and we're like we would we'd be struggling if we were still using our old shop management to sort of really keep track of when you've got 50 orders on the go and they all sort of look the same, or the POs aren't quite as like detailed, I guess. So
Mm.
um, yeah, that's been really helpful.
Oh, wow, that's good. I'm still keen to look at it. We got this new brand that we're trying to launch hoping to launch in July,
Mhm.
which I'm sort of excited about. I'm always a little bit like, oh, this is great. And then when you get to it, you think, I haven't really got time to do this. And
No.
you don't want it to take away the time that you need to work on your business as is. But I'm keen to give it a go.
Mm,
Um, not to do what you're doing, but to have another wing of the business here that caters for small numbers. A little bit like something like Print Locker, but obviously not
mm,
DTG
mhm,
at this end. Um, yeah, to so sort of add another wing to the business that allows us to do smaller runs, but to increase the value of each one of those. That might be stupid, I don't know, but I'm just keen to see whether it'll work. But Deco Network seems to be the way to get that to run.
mm,
Yeah.
for sure.
Wow. And where did you go on your holiday?
We went to Thailand,
Oh, nice.
so that was a bit different. It was it was a good time, but yeah, some good stories there as well.
All right. Okay.
So, but no, it was good. The trip home was a bit rough. We probably made a poor decision of what we were having at dinner the last night, and then they came back to bite us on the plane home.
Oh, no. That's
So,
awful
mhm.
for
It
everyone
was,
else on the
yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a rough time. There's, yeah, three of us blokes that are sick at the same time. Like,
Oh, that's
so
terrible.
yeah, we probably won't be eating Thai oysters
I
the
feel
night
for a lot.
before next time.
Thai oysters, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So,
Okay.
but they were
Yeah,
lovely at the time.
yeah, I bet they were. It's kind of asking for it, isn't it?
Yeah,
But yeah, it's tricky.
I love trying the different foods. So yeah, but all the ones I tried before then from that trip were fine, except for that last one.
Yeah. Gosh. Oh, well, welcome home.
Thank
Did
you.
you did you buy anything crazy while you were away? Last time you went away, I think it was your honeymoon, wasn't it, or something? Yeah,
Yeah,
you bought
yep.
bought an auto
Auto.
or something. Yeah.
No, I didn't actually look on Marketplace too much while I was there. Didn't have any money to spend.
Mm, probably not a bad thing. And how is the situation with the auto and the air
Oh,
and everything?
it's a long story. It's still there in pieces.
Right.
But I don't know where the last update was, but we've got some issues with power and stuff. So I think we're just gonna send it. The Sparky might not be too keen, but we're just gonna hook it up and see what happens. And if it trips, then we know we've got a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
But talking to other people, they've had less power at their shops and run sort of sounds like similar sort of equipment or draw of equipment, and
Mm.
they've made it work. So I think it's worth trying before we spend 10 grand to upgrade power to the building or whatever.
Were the so the power was for the air compressor, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. So the press has some power to it, but what's the power doing on the press? Just turning the carousel?
it's just the screen basically. It's basically no power on the actual press. The rest is all pneumatic, so that's why it
Oh,
needs such
okay.
a big compressor.
To
Um,
actually run the table.
Spin it and
Okay.
do the heads and stuff. Yeah,
I see. I see.
it's a massive compressor.
But guess what you can do? So you got to have your oven on and your flashes on, and you could build it up. So you get your
Mm,
compressor on, right? And then you get the carousel running, and then you print with one head, like not actually printing, but you get one head to move and add two and three and so on.
mm,
And then I guess add the flash. That's the one that's probably gonna trip it if anything's going to.
mm.
But yeah,
And see what it cuts out.
yeah, exactly. And if it doesn't, hey, and
Yeah.
maybe you need to check you've got those decurve
Mm.
switches in, right? Because
Breakers there. Yep.
yeah, otherwise that spike with the flash will take out the electrics pretty quickly.
Okay.
We've had fun with electrics here. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, and we haven't got enough.
Oh, you don't?
Well,
Classic.
we've got enough power, I think. We haven't had any problems with the amount of power that we need, but just enough three-phase outlets. I had seven put in and just need another one.
Oh,
Yeah,
classic.
yeah,
Is it, does it have to be run all together or it can just
yeah.
piggyback onto somewhere?
No, it has to have its own separate one. Um, and we have to run everything together. So when we get this rock impress in, I know that'll be all right. I think that's 32 amps, but we're sitting at about 130 with
Okay.
everything at the moment. And we run two flashes. But yeah, one other machine to go in, hopefully. So yeah, we were talking about, well, what do we do if it doesn't work?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the answer was do a kind of back shift from like 4 to 8 or 4 to 9 in the Arvo through the evening to use that. Um, but yeah, we'll have to see. But it is difficult. Like you speak to electricians and you go, look, this says it's 30, that says it's 27, that says 24. Do we have enough? And they
It's
look
like,
in the
yeah, yeah,
funky room in the box and they go, ah, yeah, oh, and you kind of can't get a straight
yeah.
answer out of
No.
anyone. It's so
It's a
frustrating.
minuscule thing.
Yeah.
Power.
And then they start talking, electrically ease at you, and you think, I don't even know if they know whether this will work or not. But so far, we've been good. Um,
Okay.
the move was, well, I'm probably a bit more philosophical now, but it was horrific at the time. It was
Oh,
super
that was this
stressful.
week, was it?
It was 2 weeks ago now.
Oh, okay.
Um, and it feels like a lifetime ago. But we got the pre-press side and the screen side in 3 weeks before that. So that was me. So I was away and the guys that do screens were just sort of running back and forward between the two buildings.
Hmm.
That was working fine. And then on the Thursday, sorry, on the Wednesday, I think about midday, we just stopped the press. We'd worked really hard to get everything out that needed to be out for that week.
Hmm.
And, so there's some long nights. And got to be careful how I say all this, but we tore down the press, we being other people, and moved it over. It was raining, so that was a bit of a nightmare. But
Uh,
anyway, yeah. I mean, it's been a blessing that it is just, well, you know how close it
right
is.
next door.
Yeah. It's just a shame it's not on exactly the same lot because everything had to go down off that awful curb onto
Hmm.
the road. But anyway, and eventually we moved the core, which was a bit nerve-wracking um, for that auto, and then it got assembled. But the there were some issues with the reassembling that weren't spotted until certain people left, and then we realized there was actually a major, major problem. We were
Uh,
using Leapfrog machinery, and Howard, as ever, parachutes in and he saves the day. But he came in on a Monday night about 9, I think. We worked through to 1, and the press was ready, I'm going to say by midday Wednesday.
cool.
So we lost quite a bit of time. And one of the things I really struggle with in this industry is if you have downtime, the order backs up into the next order, which backs up
Hmm.
into the next one. And so you cannot recover until you're fully recovered. That's to say, if you don't catch up, everyone just gets delayed unless you have a
Mm.
quiet phase. And that doesn't happen until Christmas. So, um, yeah, we had to work extra hard, but I hope they don't listen, but the worst bit was that a member of staff, I think on the Friday before the big move, sort of had a bit of a wobbly and announced that they didn't know we were moving, even though we've been talking about it for 2 years.
Ah.
Like, even though I brought them in and we gone through and everything. Um, and I think they were just really kind of stressed and anxious by it. Some people just can't cope so
Mhm.
well with change. And so on the morning of Monday, I got a text just saying, I'm resigning. See you later. We were like,
Oh.
you could have given us that last week. There's so much to move, right? Anyway, that kind of upset people. Like the staff were like, oh, thanks.
Mm.
But at the same time, we get it. People just get stressed. And when you get to that point, you can't. It's better to stop, I think, than to carry on. But that was stressful. Yeah. So we are literally all out. Um, there's a huge 6 meter um, bench that we used to lay orders out on that's still up at the old place. We literally couldn't get that out, so we break that down and bring it over. And then, yeah, there's the job of clearing up back up there and, saying goodbye and closing the door. The internet is the one thing that's still no good here. I'm just so happy it's working today.
Uh,
Um, but we're still using, you can't see it, but literally, it's like something from Back to the Future. Like it is just comical, like a huge router extender thing with 4 aerials on that are like
oh.
this big.
Oh, to get it from your old place.
Yeah, so I've got one on the old place that connects the one here. So it's like a gigabyte, or I think it's 800 megabytes there. Is that right? Yeah, 800 megabytes. And then here it's 30.
Oh,
It's like,
gee.
and I had to put another one up to get it through the whole print shop. So the web is crud at the moment, but we're managing. Yeah, and there's been some other things like the doors on the locks here, you know, they're just pathetic. I called the locksmith in to get a better barrel,
Uh-huh.
and I said, I don't feel like these are very secure, these doors. So we shut one and locked it, and he just sort of twisted the frame and the door popped open.
Oh.
What the dickens is this, you know? So, and you've got everything in, and you're thinking, man, anyone could get in here. So that was a bit stressful, but we got all that sorted. And yeah, teething problems, things not
Mm,
working. But it's really nice having, how can I say it? Having got it kitted up the way we would, right,
hmm
for our industry. That was so nice for us, and um, that's working really well. I dare say it, we've moved into hoodie season, which means, lots of um, pallets of stock, and there's not a lot of room left.
Oh, that's
Uh,
classic.
I know. Yeah, I can't even believe it. So we've got room to put in another shed where we're going to move the stock. We're going to turn the stock room hopefully into a DTF room. And I think we've got room to get the rock in. But after that, we can't fit
That's
anything
it.
else. We've got to get rid of those manuals and a couple of ovens and washout booths and things like that. But
Mhm.
I think it'll be all right then. But yeah, it's not as roomy as I'd hoped now that we're all in.
Have you noticed any sort of, do you reckon production's quicker with the new layout and stuff, or?
Yeah, I think so. Let me just see why I'm saying that. I feel like just having, in the old place, the washout booth was kind of sheeted off, but there was kind of like this much space between the edge of the washout booth and where we pushed the trolleys with the garments on. So the
Mhm.
opportunity for getting ink on the garments, that kind of thing. And now it's just great because all of the ink, all of the screens, all of the washout is in one half of the building, and you don't have to have ink coming anywhere near the garments until the
Mm.
garments on the press, right? Which obviously is the objective. So things like that are really nice. Um, and I feel like because we've now got, so at the end of the dryer was a dispatch area before, but it was nowhere near the door. It was completely the wrong end of the unit. And now it's where it needs to be at the door. So there's this huge 4 meter um, double desk that sits along there, which allows us to catch, box, label, and put on the pallets to go out. Things like that, which may not sound like much, but if you're having to cart box after box because
Yeah.
you can't jack up a pallet and get it, there's not enough space in the old place, makes things a lot easier. But also having like, you've seen it, that the washout area connects to the drying area,
Mm.
which connects to the dark room, which correct connects to the exposure room, all in one kind of channel. So
Mm.
screens can basically go through the life um, of what we call redemption here. We've got big signs that's redemption above the screen room, through to exposure, through to on a press and back through. That's really nice to kind of see in action. And clearly that's, for us at least, that's very efficient
Mhm.
and works well. Um, but there's still lots to unpack and fix and, things still to build. Um, but it's functional. Um, we've employed 2 more people, 3 more people, in fact,
Oh
this
wow.
last week and a half. That's going well. Um, and so it's taken up quite a bit of the, you know, extra work, particularly on DTF at the moment that we're
Mhm.
doing. Um, so yeah, we're here. Um, and it's just nicer, I like it because I've got my own office and
Yeah.
I can shut the door and concentrate. And it is a bit different, takes a bit of getting used to, but we've got staff room, it's kind of nice.
Mm.
We're a bit spoiled. But yeah, I don't want to move again. Whew, that was pretty. There were a couple of times when I was in here with my head in my hands, welling
Yeah.
up in fits of sorrow and stress, thinking, why did we do this? It's so stupid. But yeah,
Good now.
it's good now. All right. We have a guest. Shall we bring him in?
Absolutely.
All right. Man, how you going?
Yeah, great. Long time no see. Hey,
Yeah, no, how you been? It's been a while.
yeah. It's very wet. Sunshine
Yeah,
Coast is not living up to the name. So, other than that, yeah, great. Just working.
yeah, good.
Actually,
Um,
the viewers won't know, but that's a joke because Sam was here yesterday.
that's right. I was there yesterday and I copped all that rain. Man, I left. What time did I leave? About 1 o'clock, I think.
Yeah, yeah, about that.
I stupidly thought I'm not going the same way I came up because that was horrific. So I thought I'd drive down to Coffs and then cut across because for us over
Yeah.
here, Coffs is a regular, fairly regular thing. And I got to Coffs at 10 to 9 at night.
Oh my God,
Yeah. I just
that's
stayed at
unbelievable.
Coffs. I only drove over this morning. Like it,
Oh
but it
wow.
was rain. That's the point. It was
Yeah,
rain all the way down. It was horrific.
yeah, crazy. Yeah, I do that drive from here to Coffs all the time. So I know the pain.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
and pretty busy roads, hey?
Oh, absolutely. Gold Coast and Brisbane is like the
Mm.
worst.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Anyway. Anyway, I don't think we're here to talk about traffic on the Gold Coast.
No, no.
Just,
I'm over it
just
now.
as at a guess, hey.
So what's been going on? Tell us all your
Uh,
news.
all my news. I don't know. Just printing t-shirts, same as everyone else. Actually, embroidering hats. Um, yeah, lots of digital printing, lots of screen printing, all that type of stuff. People that don't know, I own Death Clique Printing on the Sunshine Coast. We do screen printing, embroidery, DTF. We were a DTG shop. I got rid of my DTG printer, went full DTF. Yeah, so we got like 8 heads of embroidery, eight color Taz Auto, and the DTF roll printer behind me. It's also running, so I don't know if that's annoying and you guys can hear it, but
I can't hear
No,
it. No.
oh, beautiful. Yeah,
magic.
sweet. How good.
I can see it kind of shaking a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it does that.
Yeah. But no, I can't
Perfect.
hear it all. But you
Sick.
also run a clothing brand as well, right?
Oh, yeah, I almost forgot about that. Yeah, I have a clothing brand, Death Clique. That's kind of how the whole thing started. I started that. It'll be 10 years in August. I started the
Damn.
clothing brand. And yeah, people still buy it every week. So that's pretty crazy, making something last that long. Because as you know, clothing brands are kind of very temporary for a lot of people.
Mm.
And get to that sort of length of time and people still, like I said, caring about the brand and buying the brand and being supportive of the brand is, yeah, it's unbelievable, actually. That's probably the best way to put it.
Mhm.
That's nice. So you started that quite early, right? Like, so many brands started during COVID, and obviously you're way ahead of
Yeah.
that. What was the
Yeah.
idea behind the brand originally?
So that's a fun one. I've been drifting since I was like 16. I went in a friend's car. We went and did burnouts in an industrial estate, and I was like, "This is the most fun you can have in a car." So I started drifting when I was probably 17. So that was about 2009, and yeah, I don't know that at that point in time, the only like I've been pretty big into like fashion and I enjoy brands and stuff like that along my journey. And then yeah, at that point in time, brands didn't really exist in the drifting space. I started noticing a lot of like I think like cafe races and stuff were getting a bit popular. So there's a lot of like motorbike
Yeah.
like kind of niche brands that were popping up, having cool designs. And I was like, man, drifting is 100 times cooler than a motorbike. And then yeah, everything that kind of existed in the space was pretty much just uh, people just put cars that they were enthusiastic about on shirts. So you had like t-shirts that were like skylines, all this stuff. A lot of it was like forum based. So the forums that have their apparel that they'd release, and then other than that, it was kind of just like photographers that went to the track had like merchandise that they'd release really sporadically. And I was like, hey, there's not really anyone operating here that's just a brand. Um, I also come from skateboarding, where skateboarding it's brand, you have riders, that type of thing.
Mm.
So I kind of was like, I would love to apply that to this thing that I'm interested in, and then that's how I came up with starting the clothing brand.
Well, okay. And why
Yeah.
Death Click? What was the thinking there?
This one's actually like super funny and easy. So back in the 80s, skating, they had the Bones Brigade. And I was literally at home one day watching a Bones Brigade documentary, and I just
Mm.
went on Google and searched synonyms for Bones and Brigade, and I came up with Death Clique.
Okay, got it, got it.
And it's stuck.
It makes
Yeah, and I
sense.
was like, yeah, I was like, oh, that's a cool one, and then I just rolled with it. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's
that's
how we ended up there. And then I was obviously really imaginative with the print shop name. I'd put
Yeah.
printing on the end, so people knew we did printing as well. Very exciting.
and it's good that, like a lot of clothing brands migrate into their own screen print shop, but many of them leave their brand behind, right? Eventually, they're
100%.
just, and I know you're a very busy printer because I've
Yes.
seen it, but you kept your brand going. I mean, has there been temptations to go, oh, forget this, I haven't got time to do that, or how have you kept it
um,
going?
Same. I have had stages where I've probably not focused on the brand as much. I'd probably say the last 18 months, 2 years, I've been really slack on the releases. Like I'll probably, at one point, I think I was doing a new like item release every like 10 days.
Wow.
Wow.
I found that was kind of like a really nice point that if you release something new all the time instead of doing a seasonal drop, people kind of kept a lot more interest. So someone might see something that you release and go, oh, I really like that. And they're like, oh, I can't really be bothered buying it. And then in 10 days, like, oh, there's another new product. They're like, oh, I like this hat. And then I'll buy the hat and shirt, some
Yeah,
stickers,
gotcha.
like, and it kind of all just rolled. That was like my thing. And then I think I was probably, what did I get to? I think it was probably like 2 years of doing it, doing like the every 2 weeks, 10 days sort of release. And I think I probably burnt myself out on coming up with new product ideas and all that kind of
Mm,
stuff. And
mm.
then at the same time, the shop got really busy. So then, yeah, it's probably maybe like 18 months after that of like really sporadic releases. Like I dropped like 2 shirts and then not post on Instagram for a month and all that type of thing. So it hasn't been as consistent as I could be. But yeah, I always get back to the point where I just really love creating products.
Mm.
That's what I'm really passionate about. Is like I was originally a brand, I'm still a brand. So I do really enjoy releasing things, having people say they like them, people ordering them, people wearing them. Same as anyone else that kind of does a brand. Yeah, so it's up and down. It's not been that consistent.
Josh,
But yeah, there's definitely been temptation to just focus on the print shop because obviously that's way easier to be profitable than a brand. Um, but yeah, I always just like I said, I fall back to I just love making stuff.
yeah. And you do your own designs as well?
I mix it up, so I do some myself. I do some with like other friends that are designers. Find people that I like how they design and get come up with an idea. So I really mix it up, try and keep everything a bit fresh. Like if you look through my website and things that we've released, it's all a very similar theme, but like the styles are really different when you like really dive into it.
Mm.
Yeah, so I just mix it up.
Josh, you started in the same way, but do you still have your clothing brand?
Nope. I always think about it. I'm like, maybe this year I'll have another crack because I
Yeah,
might as well. But that's usually at like January when it's a bit quieter and then it gets busy and you never do it again. Think
yep,
about it again.
yep. Very easy to
But
do.
yeah, Sam, you're right. Yeah, actually sticking with it for that long is yeah, pretty impressive. Because yeah, most people would have said no, stop that by now.
I guess if you're getting the sales, if you're not able to get it going and then your screen print shop is growing, it's hard to kind of focus on it. But if you're still getting sales and the brand is growing and you still got a good following, then it's worth carrying on with, right?
Definitely.
The
Yeah, I
markup's
guess. I
so
mean,
much
there's
better.
definitely heaps of times where it's lost money, but that's just
Yeah.
part of the game. What else would I want to spend it on?
But the markup's much better, presumably, with your brand.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Um, yeah, obviously, what it's like 1,000% or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's unreal. But I'm not, in the print shop. People will order 50, 100, 300, 500, 1,000 pieces. I'd happily take the wholesale loss on what I could be making on 1,000 of my own to have that money in my bank account immediately and just get the shirts out the door, and then it's someone else's problem to try and sell them all.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that's where a lot of like brand owners get to that point when they have the print shop. They're like, it's just easier. It's more work, but it's easier.
Hmm.
Do you think it helps having your own brand? You know, because you print for a lot of clothing brands. That's one of your
Yeah.
main markets. Do you think it helps having your own clothing brand? Is it something you can kind of use to kind of sell on to them and say, look, you know, this is how you do this. This is how we did that. And
Yeah, I think I do have a lot of brands approach me and ask, like a lot of start out brands. So I guess it is very beneficial to be able to give them some sort of guidance, a little bit of expectation. My favorite line to tell people is your first release is going to go really fast, and don't be fooled into a false sense of security that is how popular it's going to be. It's really easy to sell to family and friends. It's really hard to sell to randoms, and then
yeah,
it's really hard to keep randoms interested in the brand and sell to them long term. So
yeah,
I always preface that. And also, I like to let people know you're probably not going to make any money.
yeah, right.
If you do, that's unbelievable, but you're probably most likely not going to make any money.
Yeah, it's
Set the
hard.
bar very
And
low.
what do they usually say to that?
They're like, oh, yeah, man, I might just get 20 shirts instead of 50. So we'll start from there. So I'm probably doing myself out of sales, but, you got to keep it realistic.
Yeah.
I do care about my customers. I'd like to see them succeed. Obviously, I'd love for them to release 50 shirts, sell them in 20 minutes, order another 100 shirts, sell them in a day. Like
Mm,
that'd be, you know, massive. I'd love to see that happening, but yeah, realistically, that's not how 95% of brands work.
mm, mm.
Um,
Do you have a
yeah.
model where you follow up with any of your customers that don't come back or check in with
I'll
them?
like check them out on socials. Like you'll see a lot of them. They're posting reels, stories every day, every couple of days, and then you'll start seeing it's a week between, and then it's 2 weeks between, and then it's a flurry again because they get motivated, and then it goes back to a little bit of time between, and then they disappear for months on end, and you can kind of just assume that they kind of won't get the feedback that they're expecting. But yeah, brands are usually it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Mm, mm.
So yeah,
Winter's a
definitely.
winter's a bit of a killer as well, I think. Like when they've got to
Uh,
spend money on hoodies and stuff, and then they've got stock
yeah.
sitting there, that kills their motivation pretty quickly as
Oh,
well.
absolutely. Like what? A hoodie's 4 times the price as a t-shirt,
Mhm.
takes up 3 times, 5 times the amount of space. Like
Mm.
yeah, it's definitely tough. Cost you twice as much to post, like
Mhm.
all that sort of thing.
Mm.
Yeah, so definitely stock cost is a big one for customers. I've delved into like drop shipping for customers, but yeah, we ended up being like our shop's not set up for that sort of thing, which is a service I'd love to offer for people, but I just couldn't work out the space and efficiency and money that you have to have invested in having a drop shipping kind of model set up. So yeah, we just went back to wholesale printing, but I do have a couple drop shipping customers still, but we kind of make them say it needs to be 50 orders a week, and if you drop them below that regular, we're gonna have to say goodbye.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sort of fits with what we were talking about earlier, Josh, with you and your setting up sites for other people. You're not doing drop shipping, but you're collating orders via your customers through sites. Any of them ask for drop shipping? Is that something that you can build into Deco Network?
Tech, Technically, there's some new like Shopify integrations and stuff, but I've heard they're a little bit ordinary. It was only sort of released probably a month ago. But if they had just a link on their website to like their store that we built for them, it would work the same sort of on-demand type way that we're doing with their like evergreen range.
Mm, mm,
Yeah, true. Because I do a bit of that. Like we'll like customers will run say a pre-order on the website, but then we'll do all the print, pack, and post for them as well.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we do a fair bit of that. I just run it through ShipStation.
Mm.
yeah,
So easy. So you
yeah.
just set up that they set up their own store. It's their problem, and
Mm.
then you plug in ShipStation to their store. Everything comes through. They have their pre-order open for 2 weeks, and then you can print out a pick list. You know exactly how much is ordered. Apply postage. You know exactly how much to charge customer for postage, and then order teas in, print them individually, post it out. Everything's stored. All the information's there. Magic for
Yeah.
$100 a month.
We used it. We did a couple of jobs where we were doing the fulfillment. They were those kind of jobs where, like we did one for Virgin Cruises, and it was for some big cruise somewhere, and there was plenty of time before to get them ordered, and they sold them to their passengers, and but it was like you know, it's time controlled. You got to get your order in by this time. So we could still print them in bulk, but the fulfillment, man alive, it was mental. We use ShipStation as well, but in the end, like in the beginning, we were like, oh yeah, this looks all right. How hard can it be? But
Very hard, very hard. That's the spoiler.
when
It
you've,
sucks.
but it took a while to get ShipStation fully integrated. We needed some real support on that. But once it was in, it was great. But still, just the job of, you know, packing, folding, getting your label on one bag at a time, and it was like, no, this isn't us. You know,
Yeah.
we just can't do it well. So, but there's obviously a lot of money in it. You know, people do it. It's a big thing.
Yeah, well, you got to imagine as a brand as well. Like if you run a pre-order, so like we've had some where they'll sell 500 t-shirts in a week and a half pre-order, and there's 500 individual orders.
Mm.
Like your usual model would be you have to order them, wait for them to show up from the printer, and then you got to sort through all of it. And sort through 500 shirts is really annoying.
Mm.
Whereas the way that we do it, I like with that particular job, we were really lucky. It was only one design, so we just printed all of them. But what we did is basically just separate them into sizes, separate all the orders by size when we print them off. And then it was just grab a pile of XLs, punch them in bags, throw them out the door. So I think that like 500 orders was probably only like maybe like 4 or 5 hours.
Wow.
Like 100 hours pretty easy because all you got to do is pile next to you, XL, bag, XL, bag. The hardest thing is trying to get the staff to read that there's more than one shirt in the order.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we like that's really fun. You get to the end of the whole shipping and packing thing. You're like, oh yeah, we've got 10 shirts left over. You're like, we only printed the exact same number of shirts that was needed. So yeah, I guess we're gonna get 10 emails.
Oh,
Gary.
Yeah. So that's always a fun one. But that's part of the game. If you send out 500 orders and you have 10 that you just have to send to another one, it's really not the end of the world.
But you
And
also
if it
have
is, your margins are too slim.
a folding machine as well, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I
It's
love the folding machine.
got to make life a lot easier.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'd love to get one of those like line folding units where you just throw 5,000 shirts a day through it. They come out bagged and labeled. But also, then I have to screen print 5,000 shirts a day, and I don't really see that happening.
Yeah, that would be nice. Do you do a lot of folding and bagging, Josh?
not until recently, but now we seem to be doing it a little bit more. Um, but yeah, not heaps, and I don't really mention it too often, even though I'm not the one that really does it. But yeah, it's still like, oh, nah, if we can avoid it, we will.
Yeah. And how about you, Jacob, with a minimum? Like if someone came on for 20, would you still bag it?
Yeah, we'll fold and bag them. That's sweet. Like the thing is, we're set up for fold and bagging whenever. Like it's literally throw it on there. We have stickers ready to go all the time for sizing. There's always 5,000 bags sitting here ready to go. So for us to fold 20 shirts and chuck them in a box is, it's an extra 10 minutes work.
Okay.
Obviously, it's probably not worth it for the money, but I just feel like it's one of them services you have to offer.
Yeah, okay.
But then we do have some customers that will order. Like we literally did one probably like a week and a half ago. It was 1,100 shirts, and they all needed to be folded and bagged. So that's
Mm.
that's worth doing.
Mm. I subcontract it to you, right? Like I
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
can't face the idea of setting up
yeah.
bagging, folding. Yeah.
Send it on up. We're ready to go.
Send you the whole job. And
Yeah,
we
why
don't do
not?
it.
You don't need to have a shop anymore. Actually, just send it
No,
all in there.
you
That's
know,
easy.
after moving here, that thought's occurred to me quite a lot. Do I really need to
Yeah.
do this? Just
Well,
outsource it.
next time you have to move, it'll be probably the last one.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You'll be moving the equipment onto the truck, and that's it. See you later.
that's right. Sold. Um,
Yep.
yeah, okay. And DTF, we can see behind you
Oh
working
yeah,
away a
the
DTF
dirty elephant
station.
in the room.
Yeah. You going to talk about it or not? You've
Yeah,
positioned
we can
yourself
talk.
right in front of it, so
Wow.
you're trying to hide it.
Yeah, accidentally. Oh no, I've dropped one of my AirPods. Is the audio still fine? Because that one keeps trying to fall out.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, sweet. All right, let's run with that because it's gone now. Yeah, DTF. What do we want to talk about at DTF?
Well, why? Let's start with that. Why? I mean, you did DTG first with a brother, I think, was it?
Yeah, so correct. So I started screen printing
Yeah.
in 2017. Bought myself a little single color, single station, water-based inks, all that kind of stuff. Printed in my garage, taught myself everything. And then so I was doing that for probably 3 years when I was still living in Byron Bay. And then I moved to the Sunshine Coast and I was doing a bit of work with the print shop side of things. So I moved up here and didn't get a job, and I just figured I'll see what happens. And then, so I moved up on the, what was it, the 19th of February, 2020.
Oh,
And I'm not
wow.
sure if you remember
Good
what happened in
timing.
February 2020.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, so that was a great idea. So I legitimately moved up, and then 2 days later, the government was like, COVID's a thing. And I had moved
Wow.
states. I had yeah, a 6 month old, a girlfriend that wasn't working either because we just moved. So yeah, very stressful sort of situation.
Wow.
Started running some deals on Instagram, just trying to get work, and then it was probably quiet for about 2 weeks, and then it just exploded. I
Wow.
don't know if you guys were operating during COVID, but I know, like you said earlier on, that drop shipping got really big during COVID, and clothing brands got really big during COVID. Yeah, we just started. I started printing for heaps of people trying to make some money while they couldn't open their pub, club, hotel, tattoo shop, barber, all
Yeah.
that. A lot of people found that apparel was a really easy barrier to entry to generate some income when there was no way that they could generate income with their traditional business model.
Mm.
But yeah, so we started doing a lot of that, and then I had throughout that time I've been making YouTube videos for my drifting content, and I had a lot of other friends that were doing YouTube, and then when everyone's stuck at home during COVID, YouTube, a lot of channels just exploded because I'm making content. People have a lot of time to watch it. So yeah, and then I had people that I knew through the YouTube side of things kind of hit me up and be like, "Hey man, I want to start selling some merchandise to make some money to be able to afford to make more content." So we started doing a bit of that, and then what I found with people on YouTube, they don't really want single color front and back or two color front and back. They wanted full color. Um, yeah, that was more of the appetite that people were after. And then I'd also found it with my brand, it started to be getting a little bit stale, doing a little bit, doing like runs. And then I wanted to do a lot more full color stuff. But obviously, when you print for yourself, you don't really want to do full color stuff. It's really annoying.
Mm.
And then you're the
Mm.
one that has to do all the work
Mm.
to maybe make some money back later. So yeah, I actually probably, what was that? So that was February that COVID started and I'd moved up here. And then I think it was probably May, I bit the bullet and bought a Brother GDX. So yeah, in 3 months, it went from single color or like just screen printing in the garage to I bought a GDX. I already had the embroidery machine, so I was doing a little bit of that. But yeah, so I got the GDX, started doing a lot of full color stuff, started doing a bit of drop shipping stuff for people. I was just taking on whatever work I could to try and survive. And then, yeah, that got really busy. And then I had to move into a warehouse, and then got an employee, and then yeah, made a few videos with the GDX, and then it made it go even busier. So yeah, I've been doing digital for 5 years, and then yeah, the technology, DTG is very slow, very
Yeah.
costly to do. So like a lot of the print, like if you're doing like a big full color back print, say like 30 centimeters by 40 centimeters, like when you're in it with the brother, it was probably say like $4 in ink, and then say another dollar in consumables and power and stuff like that. So
Wow.
it's $5 per side to print.
Per
So
side.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
it gets pretty pricey if it's a dense ink design. So yeah, I was always like compared to screen printing, it's like screen printing per item is almost free.
Yeah. It's
You
pennies.
know, whereas yeah, if you're spending dollars per shirt, yeah, it becomes pretty unaffordable. And then so what, 2, 3 years after that, they brought out DTF printing. And then I was like, this is amazing. We were using the same printer, probably getting better prints, brighter whites, easier to print on everything, but you'd use a third of the amount of ink. So your $5 things went down to $1.20, $1.50, $1.80 sort of thing. And then DTF started getting really popular and very busy. And I kind of got to the point where we couldn't do enough DTF. And then now I'm doing DTF roll printing. So yeah, I've got the DTF station printer over there, and now yeah, we do heaps of that.
So you converted the brother to a DTF.
Well, yeah. So what they did is they brought out software that was just basically it's super primitive. It was just reversal software. So the way that the traditional software is set up, it prints a white underbase, color on the top, and then they brought out reversal software, so to print the color base, and then the white over the top of that, and then you run it through some film, run it through some powder, cure it. So yeah, you could use it like that. It was just a single sheet system, so I think it was still probably like say 2.5, 3 minutes per shirt to do each one, which kind of worked out okay when you had like a bit of a roll going. So you'd print a transfer, run it through the tunnel dryer. It needs to be on the tunnel dryer for like 2 minutes anyway. So then that comes out. Your next one's pretty much ready to go, and then you get to the point where you've got about a minute between, like it coming out of the dryer and the new one being ready on the machine. So then you could cut it up, press a shirt. So you're still, you're doing something all the time. You're not just sitting there waiting for things. But even at that, that's, you'd be 15, 20 shirts an hour at best.
Right.
Yeah. And then, yeah, very inefficient if you want to make money and pay staff and overheads and all of that type of thing.
And now you run a lot of film, and you're running dual head heat presses, aren't you? Not dual heads, but dual platen.
Yeah, so just one dual platen press at the moment. I think, depending on how hard the boys are working, I don't really, crack the whip that badly. I'm like, if you guys go do your work and get some stuff done, we're sweet. But they're probably, say, 50 shirts front and back printed an hour. Because like 90% of what we do is black tees. So it's, a black tee front and back, 50, 60 an hour is, like, there's no DTG printer around that prints that fast.
No.
Like even like a cornet on a black tee isn't anywhere near that, although they tell you it is. But that machine is also $600,000.
Yeah. Yeah. It
still or 400 if they accidentally order too many and try and sell you one.
Yeah, wow. Crazy.
Yeah, insane. But works for some people's business model, just doesn't work for mine.
And the machine you got is the DTF station.
Yeah, so DTF station through Tajima, Australia. It's the XL3, so it's actually so it's 3 heads, 9 colors. So it's white, CMYK, RGB, orange. So yeah, it prints as fast as a dual head model, but we have the extra color head for alleged more color gamut. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever have issues where you need to match a Pantone or change the color? And
not often. We have a couple customers that do require Pantone matching. But yeah, we'll just run a sample off in something else and then see how close it is, adjust it, and kind of throw samples in between other prints, so we're not spending the time printing, wait for it to come out and dry. So it is a little bit slower process, but yeah, that's kind of the only downside with the DTF printing is if you're doing samples, you need to print it, and then it's got to go through the shaker, dryer, and come out the other side, and then you can cut it off. And so I think with this machine, it's about 3 meters. So if you're printing and then sending it through to the end, it is probably like 20 minutes. So if you're doing sampling of one of each thing to try and get colors right, you could be in it for hours. So that's, it kind of just worked out a different process. We just chuck it in between other prints and then adjust it from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all the fun of printing. Same as if you mix up a Pantone color and then go do a test print and then go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, sure enough.
You can match it to the book and then you go put it on a tee and it might not look as good.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've all had that before.
Oh yeah. Regular thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always that.
And yeah, so it does get pretty close. And then I'm still in between dialing in my settings and what materials we're using or what film we use. But then I think after that I might, people print out color charts and then run the color charts. So I just need to do that and actually do some testing and print out a Pantone chart and then dial it in to match the Pantone book. And then we can say that these colors are easily matched. and we know how to print them,
Yeah.
and then go from there. But like, I haven't done that because we don't have that many people ask for it. And
Right.
if they do give us a Pantone color, they go close enough, good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question on that for both of you. We do quite a lot of Pantones, but one of the reasons is, customers, how do I say this? The way we used to do it is that customers would say, that's the green that we want to use, green being a terrible color for matching, or a pink or a cream. They're just the worst colors there are in that regard. And we would say, look, do you want us to find one off the shelf? Which could be a Pantone, right? Not just a standard ink.
Yeah.
Or do you want an actual Pantone? And if they say, yeah, well, we want a real Pantone, we send them the swatch digitally and say, look, choose one. And then that's it. That works great. But if they say, no, just pull one off the shelf, even if you say, look, we'll find the closest match, which to you means one that could be quite a long way off, but it's off the shelf. But to
Mm.
them, it means one that's going to be really close. Do you see what I
Mm.
mean?
Mm.
That's for me, that's really risky, especially around things like greens or pinks or
Yeah.
cream. Do you guys do that, or do you just say, no, we're just going to find one that's fairly, if you're screen printing, that's fairly close? Or do you actually, what do you do with that situation?
Jacob.
Oh, you guys probably won't like. I don't really, honestly, we don't do that much Pantone screening. Like, I honestly don't have that many customers ask us to match a Pantone color. They send through a design, and we'll match a color as close as possible to the design. But that's about it. No one's really super firm on, we need friggin' 361 and, 427. Like, no one's really that strict on it. It's kind of what, like, with our customers. And also 90% of the time we just print friggin' white, black, red.
Yeah, right.
And and people are usually pretty happy with the red yellow shade and the normal white and the normal black.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we haven't had. Yeah, I can't say I did that much Pantone matching, but we'll just mix up a color. And a lot of the time, like, most of my customers are pretty local, and then I'll show them a color before we print it, and they
Right.
go, "Sweet, that's a green I really like. We'll go with that." And then, yeah, the little bit of corporate stuff I do, we will do Pantone because obviously you need to match their corporate colors. But also within reason, like, if someone orders 20 shirts, I'm not spending an hour matching colors for them. It's
Yeah.
You get what's close enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's that's just how we do it over here. I'm sure Josh has a way better system that he
We
spends way more time on.
Yeah, we're a little bit the same as you, Jacob. Just like we do a lot of like business stuff, but they've all got really crappy brand guidelines. So it's sort of like we're picking whatever we think's close.
Yeah.
We do have a bit built into like our like pricing so that like sometimes we'll charge them, depends how difficult the customer is. Otherwise we'll just do it and they're technically paying for it anyway. Um, but if we can avoid it, we will because it's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
Mm.
For the
Have you
most part,
got?
it's usually if you're like doing a tone on tone, like matching a AS color T or something to another, that seems to be the most common we do it, common times we do it.
Yeah. Have you guys priced up like ordering in colors from someone that does Pantone matching, or like will mix them for you? So I know
No.
like
No,
Jones, you can buy from them and be like, "Hey, I want this particular Pantone." Have you guys ever like priced up, just charged the customer for a quart? And be
I've
like,
never
"That's
tried it.
that's what it costs."
Yeah, no,
No,
no
but that would
idea.
be pretty easy, I guess. Then you have to have, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you always accumulate stuff and the mad system there as well. The whole,
Yeah, I've thought about it, but like I said, we don't do that much to like warrant it. But I've thought it's the same as outsourcing your SEPs, outsourcing your your digitizing in like all that kind of stuff. Like, it saves you time at the end of the day, and the cost is just passed on to the customer. Like, if you're mixing Pantones, you're going to be using ink anyway, so even if you charge them most of what a quart cost you, I feel like that's probably a lot more time effective and might knock
mm,
out, a staff member if you're that busy that you have someone mixing inks all the time. I don't know. Anyway, I've thought about that. I was just wondering if you guys did also considered that as an option.
No, I've seen that they do it. But
Mm.
from my mind, I just assumed, if someone got a contract for Coca-Cola or something, they'd go to them, to Jones, and say, give us a couple of gallons of this, rather
Yeah,
than, I think we've got several hundred Pantones, but our containers aren't an awful lot bigger than a mug, to
Yeah.
be
Most of
honest.
mine are
yeah,
like 300 or 400 grams or something.
Yeah, I think 500 is the max that we can get in ours. So, yeah.
yeah.
Um, but
Well, I
it's
mean,
nice to have a good collection of Pantones pre-made, because you can then do what you were saying, Jacob, and the customer wants this, right? That looks pretty close,
yeah,
and send it out. But I think I've told this story before, so I probably should keep it really short. But we did have a customer last year, and it was a pink. Now I think about it, I think it was a fluorescent pink, and we did exactly what I said. Look, this pink is, you know, unusual. They're all unusual. Here's the thing: got a Pantone book. You tell us what pink it is that you want. And we did all of that. They approved it. We sent it off to them. They immediately came back and said, it's the wrong pink. We said, well, it's the right pink. It's just the one that you chose, i.e., you're the wrong thing in this equation, not us.
Mm.
And they were really, really angry with us. And eventually I refused to give them a refund. And eventually they sent the garments back to us. They had them redone somewhere else, like crazy, just over
yeah. Wow.
yeah. And it couldn't have been that far off. You know what I mean?
How ugly was the pink?
I can't remember, but it's like, you know, if you go through the point where you approve everything, you've approved everything. And it's going to look
Yeah.
a bit different on your computer to ours, but, it is what it is.
Yep.
It's
I
not
think
a,
that's a problem that every single printer has is color matching.
Mm.
mm, mm,
Yeah, and I feel it's a lot worse in the DTF sphere as well. Trying to get screen to match your what your printer will output is exceptionally difficult.
mm, mm.
And it also depends on the design. Like we'll have some where you drop it on the printer, don't do anything, comes out perfect. Or you'll have another one that you drop on the printer and the color's 5 shades different. Um,
Yeah.
I know when Sam was here yesterday, I was literally fixing a color. It was just this kind of like a pretty similar to like a union. I'd say like a yellow green shade or green shade.
Mhm.
And I dropped it on the printer and it came out like a lemon yellow. And then I had to adjust the hue and saturation. We got it somewhere where it was bang on, but just really odd. And I printed the same design like 2 days earlier and with no touch ups, and it came out perfectly. So
Oh.
yeah, they're still a little bit inconsistent in that way, but yeah, it's pretty easy to fix on a computer rather than trying to remix Pantone colors for screen
Yeah.
printing. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
same really.
We had one the other day. This is another thing to kind of watch out for. It was a multicolored job on the back, and I think it may have just been a single color on the front. But the customer had ordered, and they were all Pantones. The customer had ordered lots of different colors of teas. It's all underbased, all exactly the same color ink. But visually, if you take I don't know, a
Mm.
purple on a green garment and a purple on a white garment, the eye,
Mm.
the brain is interpreting them differently. And the customer contacted us and said, we'd used the wrong color on the green ones or whatever. And we were like, actually, it's exactly the same color. And they didn't believe us. And, eventually
Yeah.
I was saying, well, just fold over the actual designs on the two color garments and look at the ink on its own side by side, as opposed to looking at it in the context of the garment color. And then they
Yep.
got it. But yeah, you got to be careful with that sort of thing as well. In that, let's assume you had something that was a green garment, a black garment, and then a crew. You could be tempted not to lay the underbase down on the accrue. That will change the color of the ink, even on an accrue,
Mm.
right? You
Mm.
might be able to get away with it on a white, but we would still put the underbase on all of those colors just to make sure it was consistent. But yeah, don't make too many of those shortcuts, unless your
No.
customer doesn't care, in which case, let's do
Sweet
it.
customer to keep.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Legitimately, we had the same issue the other day. So we haven't really done that much like workwear. Traditionally, I'd say I wouldn't even say 1% of what we produce is workwear related stuff. But recently, we've got another customer that has a workwear brand, and we do all their stuff. So they anyway, we started to do a bit more workwear, and high vis printed on high vis
Oh,
with colors that look different with that background is insane. So we had one job the other week, and it was this green on high vis yellow.
Yeah, right. That's good.
Right? You can already imagine it's not going to be great. But anyway, so we did the funniest part was we did hats. So it was all DTF transfers. So we did hats and the high vis polos, same prints, right? Literally the same prints, just a different size. They came out of the printer at the exact same time. Every color is exactly the same, right? Gave the customer the all of the stuff, and they're like, "Oh, this green doesn't match on the high vis." And I was like, "Oh, is the green on the hats fine?" They're like, "Yeah, no, that's sweet." I was like, "Cool." So that's the exact same green.
Yeah.
It's just because it's next to a fluorescent yellow
Yeah.
that it looks very different. It just made the green look really light in comparison to obviously because there's no contrast. Like all the
Yeah.
colors kind of bleed in. Anyway, and they're like, "Oh, is there anything you can do to change it?" So I just made the green about 5 shades darker, put it on
oh
a
yeah.
shirt, and they were like, "That's perfect."
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah.
Now you got to try and remember that for next time.
Yeah. Oh, I saved the file. I was like, "Yeah, sweet. Well, at least we know now." But yeah, and then conveniently the design was just like lines, and then like a really thick block text. So what I actually did is I added a stroke to it, reprinted it, and just put them over the top.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So saved myself a bunch there.
Yeah. That's the answer. How are you feeling about DTF, Josh?
I love it. I just like that I know exactly what I'm going to get because I burn myself so often for screen printing. I'm like, yep, it's going to be an easy job. And then I'm like,
Wait
but
until you have a DTF printer in the shop and you start on those annoying screen jobs and you're like 2 screens in, you're like, actually, you know what? I'm going to walk over, print off on the DTF printer, and the customer's getting DTF.
yep.
Yeah, done
Oh,
that.
I bet. Probably lucky I don't have the option.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess I know it's all like in our industry, it's a bit still taboo or whatever, I guess. But um, yeah, you gotta keep up with everyone else as well. And I like the idea of eating. So if I'm gonna make money on DTF, I'm gonna do DTF.
Mm,
Yeah, 100%. I think
mm.
I even read an article yesterday. I don't know if you guys got around to looking at it yet. You know how Jones do the behind the mesh?
Hmm.
They released one yesterday for George with Phantom screen printing on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane screen printing, like probably
Mm,
one of the best. But yeah, even in that, like he's straight away, he's like real screen printing, trash and DTF. It's not going to take over the industry. Screen printing is here to stay, which I agree with all of the above. But I also own an apparel business in the space, so you need to keep up. You need to be able
mm,
to make money off those jobs because the margins are obviously. I was talking to Sam about this yesterday, but the pricing for DTF is like comparable to DTG, but it doesn't cost anywhere near as much or take anywhere near as long as DTG. But that's
mm,
kind of what the pricing has been derived from. So we find it exceptionally profitable to be like we can undercut what we were charging for DTG and then still charge more than screen. But then for the ease and cost to produce,
mm.
we're drastically in front.
Mm.
Yeah.
I feel like
So
it depends. Like for me, I'm the screen printer. Like you,
yeah,
I'd as much as I love screen printing, I'd rather be selling more stuff. So if I can have someone else just pressing shirts out the back, then I would rather that. But then I guess it's also like our market as well. Like a lot of our jobs, it's like on the verge. It's like, would we screen print it? Like we could screen print it. The volume's okay, but we're not doing crazy stuff all the time. Um, so yeah, a lot of the time for the volume for us, it makes more sense going DTF, and then we also do a lot of like uniforms and stuff. So
yeah,
yeah.
very easy, especially with lots of brands or like lots of companies these days. It's obviously like they make all their logos in Canva, they add a
Hmm.
gradient, a bunch of colors. They
And
want all of that, and then it's so easy just to DTF it on a polo shirt, front and back. I found that DTF is amazing on blends. Like a poly blend is beautiful to put
Mhm.
DTF on, and it lasts forever.
Why is that?
I don't. Plastic loves plastic, I guess.
Yeah, fair
Right.
point.
I think the argument about the kind of artisan screen printer and DTF will rage forever, and you'll
Mm,
see a kind of, you know,
Yeah. Well, there's already been
it's a
that
religious
divide
war.
for since DTG printers came out in what 2006, 2008. Kind of the first edition of them were coming out. People were like, this is going to kill screen printing, and then it's almost been 20 years. Screen printing's
mm,
still here, but then you just exist in different facets, and there's lots of things that you can't do with DTF and DTG that you can do with screen printing. So there's always going to be a need for that.
Mm.
Um, and also the speed and volume isn't quite there. I know Sam's trying to tackle the speed and volume, but I still think screen printing's so much easier on large volume.
mm.
I was going to ask, what are you minimums for screen printing these days? Where are you guys at?
So you go ahead, Josh.
Oh, we're 50 and I don't
Wow.
budge.
Wow. We're 20 and we won't budge. We might if it's a, local business or something that we know or something like that. Um, but therein lies the rub, right? Because for me, what I was going to say is it's a religious war right now. And for the artisan screen printer, it quite rightly should be, and it always will be. But it's also a business decision. It's also a commercial question. And
Mm,
so it's like juggling several balls, right? You got the question of, well, what's the quantity in the order? You know, is this a customer that really wants a screen print? Or is this a customer that cares or doesn't know? Not that I want to sell them something that they don't know what it is. And how complex is it? How many colors are there? You know, juggling those correctly is an algorithm, right? Once you can apply that to the situation, you can say, right, it's 20, it's two colors, bang it out on the press, on the screen press, or it's 10 colors, put it on DTF. But then you'll get that customer that says, this is a lovely print, and you look at it straight away and go, oh, yeah, it's going to be beautiful as a simulated process. And then they want 20. And
mm,
and they want ink. They want, well, it's all ink, but they want, screen printed ink. Um, so I think, the religious war needs to rage, but the commercial algorithm or whatever equation needs to be applied to that as you grow your business and look at what's coming in. Um, Josh, if your minimum is 50, then you can go either way, as it were, much more easily
mm.
because, right, okay, that's a white print, that's two color print, bang, straight
Yeah.
on the manual press and out the door. Um, but if it's 20, it's kind of harder, right? And I'm keen to look at having a minimum of one, which could be completely insane as a separate brand in this business, just to try that market out and see whether the extra revenue you can get on the sale is worthwhile without doing, spending 600 grand on a cornet,
Mm,
right? But that's the way I look at it. A religious war, but commercial um, equation will kind of balance it out in the end. Because I mean, not to irritate or offend any of our screen print buddies out there, because we love them all. Um, there is a scenario, isn't there, where some people just love manual screen printing. They just enjoy the buzz they get from it, and rightly so. It's an amazing artistic expression that's mass produced. And they will never go perhaps to an auto, or they will never go to DTF because that's, that's joining the queue to hell kind of thing. And that's okay. People will
mm,
always want that kind of printing, and that's okay. But maybe if you can mix it up, keep all those balls in the air and work out each time what it's meant to be. So, for example, in our little business, the person doing the sales used to determine whether it was going to be DTF, embroidery in some cases, and or screen printing. And of course, you do have those jobs where it's a blend, right? You might have a one color left chest, but a beautiful, huge color, multiple color back print, and it's only 20 garments. So, it's obviously screen print the front, and you DTF the back. But the salesperson used to determine that. And recently I said to them, me being the art department, actually now need to make that decision. You need to price it in a particular way and don't worry about how it's printed. If, though, it's a clothing brand and or someone like a big brewery, then we need to clarify with them whether they want screen printing or DTF. That takes the pain away, but you just got to watch how the pricing works. So when it comes through to me, I make that decision. I look at it and go, right, that's got to go on the big press. That's got to go on a heat press. And I think that's a good way of kind of checking. I mean, you're all doing that. We're doing that now, but I don't want to leave that to a salesperson to make that decision. There's something will come through and it'll be, 16 colors or something, and it's 20 garments. Don't want to put that on a press. That'd be
That
cool.
sounds amazing. I'd love that job. If you get any of them, send them this way for sure.
Yeah, okay. You got them. No worries.
No thanks.
Have you had any pushback from any screen print friends that you have about buying DTF?
No, I think I've been because I've been doing digital for so long. It was already like the shop's always been screen and digital. So it's not like so I went full time with the shop in 2020, and then 3 months into going full time, we got a digital printer as well. So kind of the whole time the shop's existed as its current iteration has been digital as well. Yeah, so no, not really. Everyone's just kind of, like all those print shops that say they hate DTF and they're never going to do DTF, and DTF's a stain on the industry, they'll still talk to me because I'm a screen printer. So
yeah, right.
I'm very open about it. I love digital for what it can do. There's lots of benefits to it, but I genuinely love screen printing.
It's in your blood now.
Oh yeah, I can't get rid of it. Probably too many spray adhesives and too much ink being cured around me.
But Josh, you're the opposite. You like printing, but you make that decision to go DTF more often than not.
Yeah, and like I'll be the first to admit we're not the best screen printers. Like I'm not the best screen printer.
Oh, me neither. No, definitely not.
So, like it's not hurting my pride too much. Like I like it, but doesn't just because you're good at just because you can doesn't mean you should. Like yeah, we do we do it and we do it well. I like to think we do it okay.
This is a great marketing advertisement.
Yeah, that's right. None of our customers listening to this. But like we do all our stuff is generally lower color stuff. We've never really done too much crazy high color count. But yeah, for me and for our market, more often than not, it's not screen printing, but we do it, and we still love it.
So if you got a job tomorrow for 200 black t-shirts with a 5-color print, I can't remember whether you've got a 4 or 6-color press, but would you screen print it?
I probably would, but it depends on it depends. I'd probably outsource it to a screen printer. We've been doing a little bit of that as well. So it has to be. It depends on. I'll look at how much we make, whichever one we make more money on. We go with that one.
Yeah, well, there you go. There's a business decision. Yeah.
Yeah, true. I guess I'm slightly different to that. I still will see a job and I'm like, I really want to screen print that.
Yeah, okay.
Even if I could, like, we could do without. So I think the biggest run of same print tees that was done on the DTF printer was it 445? And we did that all DTF. But the reason that was the case is it was black and white tees. It was like 300 something black tees, 100 and whatever white tees. So that kind of factored into the thing as well. But at that point, I was booked for probably 3 to 4 weeks with screen printing. So it was either take the job on, do it digital, or not do the job at all.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, with the turnarounds that the customer needed. Another one of them YouTubers that did a pre-order and then needed it yesterday. So yeah, that's also another avenue, is having that secondary print type in the shop that we can do those big runs of stuff, and not impact, our kind of like our print queue. That's also a great reason to have it.
You're gonna, like, if you did that full color job on on your auto, you've also got the setup time. So if you've got lots of
Correct.
jobs queuing up, it's a nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas you just spit it out on the DTF and then all you got to do is press it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think so. That was so I only ever print on maximum quality on the DTF printer. So that print time was like 8 hours. So it was a backed print, pocket print. There was some misprints in the middle, and then making it all up. Yeah, it was about pretty much a day's worth of printing. And then yeah, I think it took the boys like a day and a bit. They only work 6 hours a day, so it's not 8 hours. Well, it's 5.5. They have lunch, sit on their phones, go to the toilet. It's probably only really 4.5 hours of work a day. Um, but yeah, so 2 day, basically, yeah, day and a half. So it's 6-7 hours to get all of that done. Sweet, that's still profitable.
That's not
Yeah.
bad, is it?
I'm sure you guys can imagine what I charged for 400 t-shirts, and if you got one staff member working on that for 8 hours, you're well in front.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it just seems to work. We're very keen. We're very interested. We're doing more and more DTF. And I like the product much more. Totally moved away from Supercolor now.
Yep.
And
Well, it's softer hands than Supercolor as well.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny, it feels more like Supercolor at the moment, from the stuff we used to get from New Zealand, feels more like well, to be blunt, a kind of fairly amateur plastisol print, whereas all this other DTF feels much more like a water-based print. And
Yeah.
you get the texture of the garment through. People are talking about putting burlap on the top and pressing that at the end and everything. I don't think you need to do that. If you've got something like an AS color, you'll get the grain of the garment, the weave
Yeah,
of the garment
100%.
through.
Well, I think, yeah, I showed you
Really
them
good.
hoodies yesterday that we printed, that you were like, oh, there's the texture through them. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
Just press with a bit higher pressure. We don't run a Teflon sheet on the top. It's just straight heat press on the top.
Okay.
We found, yeah, the Teflon sheet gives them a bit more of like a shine. Whereas if you just run the normal heat press with nothing over the top of it, it actually does dull it. It's like I wouldn't say it mattes it. It kind of like satins it
Yeah,
instead of a
gotcha.
gloss.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it makes them look a little bit closer. Like a lot of stuff we could show you and you'd be like, I can't tell
Yeah.
if that's an incredibly crisp screen print or if it's a DTF print.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah, like a lot of the colors that we use, like that we'll print with the DTF are solid. Like there's no grain in them. It's just a solid color. It looks like it's been printed. But also circling back to Supercolor, they've I keep seeing, pardon me, keep seeing ads for them doing DTF.
Just recently, and some fluoro stuff as well.
Yeah, they got Super DTF, they call it.
I haven't tried it, but it'd be interesting.
Me neither. But again, I guess Velflex, to be an Australian company, they're the same thing. They're now very heavy on DTF instead of their transfer business. But yeah, I think because they market their DTF more to like lower quantities. So they're like 1 to 24 pieces. They try and DTF them, and then 24 plus. Obviously, they already have the machinery to be able to do that. But yeah, it's also I wonder how worried those transfer businesses are, because me and Josh did a tour of Velflex one day. Like the cost in the equipment in there is astronomical. It's unbelievable. It's gorgeous facility, and then the machinery is amazing. But then for someone to just go out and buy one of these for X amount of dollars, that's probably 2 zeros less than what their facility is. I'd wonder how worried they are, which is obviously why they're getting into the transfer, or like the DTF market, and then suppliers as well. Velflex, what they're a Mamaki dealer. They sell everything else, film powder. So yeah, very interesting time.
And you've enjoyed working with Tajima so far?
Yeah, they've been fantastic. I managed to, I get them on the phone most of the time. Every time you order, it's out the door same day. Yeah, pricing's great. I don't know. I don't want to turn into a sales meeting for Tajima Australia. They don't have me on the payroll yet, so I pay full rate like everyone else.
I think it's an important point, right? That when you buy a DTF machine, you do need a good relationship with a consumables reseller as well.
Absolutely. Honestly, I've had little issues here and there, and I will text my guy at Tajima. I go, hey, I got this happening. and he'll fire me something back, you know, sometimes immediately or maybe a couple of hours. Like he'll text me back out of hours. I'll be like, hey man, I know it's out of hours, but I'm at work doing stuff. Just write back when you can. And I'll usually get a message back even like 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, you know, with the information I need. And then, yeah, like even, so like I've had some materials that have been not usable. I just send them a text and like, hey man, I got this happening. Here's a photo. He's like, sweet, I'll get more out to you tomorrow. Like it's,
Yeah. See, that's
so
good.
they do stand behind the product. So that's great. I know some other companies that I used to purchase supplies from for in a similar sort of vein. You'd message them like, hey, I've got this drama. And they go, oh, don't know. But then you talk to other shops that buy supplies from them, and they go, yeah, I've been having that same problem. And they said, that's not our problem. But then I feel like, you know, if you got 3 or 4 shops having the same dramas, then it's probably a manufacturing issue, not a,
Mm.
you know, not a shop issue.
Mm.
But anyway, I'm not here to badmouth anyone.
I follow a guy on, or there are a couple on YouTube. I think they're in maybe Austin, Texas, and they're called AMS, and they've got a podcast called Print Pass, which is great. They're full DDF. Well, actually, what they have is, I think they have 4 DDF machines. They're all Audleys, and they
Yep.
have a screen press, but they only use the screen press to create plastisol transfers, which is really
Oh,
interesting.
I think I have actually stumbled across one of their videos here and there. I think I watched one of their, it was maybe one they did like unboxing the second one and installing it or something like that.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But he buys direct from China
yeah.
and saves a heap of money, but has no support, right? And
Mm.
he's pretty open about that. He's clear about that. They're great. They're great. They really kind of turn their business inside out to let people see it. But that's the kind of thing that scares me. Because let's be honest, most of these machines are coming out of China. I know Leapfrog have got one now, Leapfrog Machinery, and theirs I think is Korean actually.
Oh,
And they've got
Interesting.
an 8 or 9. Oh, sorry, they've got an
12
8
color.
plus white and a 12 color. Yeah,
Mm.
which looks interesting. But I think, how many colors is enough? You know what I mean?
mm.
Like,
Well, it comes down to like print heads and speed. So, yeah, there's a lot of talk in America about how fast you could make a DTF printer go. I think, what's the company? They brought it out. It's called like a Viper or something.
Is
And it's
it? I
12
think,
heads. It's
yeah.
insane. But, you know, a machine like that's probably, what would I have to guess? I'd say something like that's going to run you close to 60, 70, 80, 90,000 Australian for a 12 head machine. Like, I'm just purely guessing here. Be like, at what point is that more efficient than buying 3 of 4 head machines?
yeah,
And then you do have that fail safe. If it goes down, you've still got 2 more printers printing.
yeah, some
Um,
redundancy.
yeah, so you kind of, but I guess those machines are focused at those very large transfer companies that they're not going to buy one of them, they're going to buy 5 of them anyway. But they want to be able to sell their transfers cheaper than everyone else on the market, and they need to be able to print, a kilometer worth a day to keep the doors open.
Yeah,
So yeah, that is the cool thing about DCF is just to print faster, is just more print heads. But then yeah, that runs into its own dramas as well, like print head alignments, everything like that. So and then cost as well. Like the print heads in these are $1,800 Australian each.
mm,
So if you got a 12 head machine, there's $20,000 in print heads
yeah,
Mhm.
before you build any of the machines. So it's that's how it can get really pricey. But yeah, it's also apparently what I was reading. I don't know how correct it is, but the color layers is harder to get printing fast than white layers because if you go too fast, the CMYK doesn't CMYK
ah,
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good point.
Whereas white just needs to land down on white. It's fine. But yeah, so the CMYK needs to mix and do all of the
interesting.
CMYK things. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's a pretty interesting thing. So I feel like at some point they're going to max out speed until they invent new printheads that can drop smaller dots and all that kind of
Mm.
thing.
yeah, I haven't thought of that.
But yeah, so that'll be interesting. And then yeah, the slow uptake on the like manufacturers, like the big name manufacturers on releasing the printers. That's also very
Mm.
interesting times because
Mm,
everything. everything everywhere is China. In Korea, as you were saying with Leapfrog.
Mm.
But like Japan, Mamaki's brought out a machine. Roland has just brought out a machine. And then you got America, Epson just brought out a machine. But the way that from what I've read about them is they're already a generation behind on what the new Chinese machines can do.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So everything that Roland, Mamaki, and Epson have brought out are CMYK. China's already at RGB orange,
Yeah.
CMYK machines. And then the Korean one's 12 colors.
Yeah.
They got, obviously, I'm assuming it's going to be light cyan, all that kind of stuff. Not sure, never looked at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they're already behind.
What about, we all went to the GJS show. When was that? Was that this year?
Yeah,
Feels
that was 2, 3 months ago.
okay.
2 months ago.
Feels like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
And
I
their
have no
one,
idea what month that was.
Coltex was their machine, wasn't it? I think that was
Mm.
an 8 or 9 color, but they had fluoro inks in it.
Yeah.
What's the benefit of having fluoro inks? Like,
So technically, almost none, unless you have. So the drama with those fluoro inks is they're spot color only. Similar. I don't know if you guys have ever used like a Roland printer, like a sticker printer.
mhm.
So they have an option for some of their machines to add a metallic. But what happens is the metallic's its own separate spot color. So same with the Coltex. So you can only print their fluoro white or fluoro magenta. They don't actually use it to mix colors.
Okay.
So you're only limited to those specific, like a fluoro magenta and a fluoro yellow. Was my understanding of their printer. I could be wrong, but that's what my understanding was. Is it's a spot color only.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
It was an
but yeah, it is
impressive
also a 9 color
machine.
printer.
It was an
Yeah,
impressive
fantastic
looking
machine.
machine, but I felt like it was very similar to the a DTF station sitting behind you
Correct.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The end of the
And then
game.
that's the second gen of the Coltex. They have actually another company in Australia had the previous model, and they were selling them for a while. But I don't have any real world feedback of them, so I couldn't comment if they're good or bad.
Okay.
But yeah, no, the GJS one looks great. It's good. Comes with every feature you could think of, and yeah,
Yeah.
looks good.
It does look good. What's your future? Have you got any big plans for this year, or just gonna keep
Um,
doing what you're doing, or
yeah, kind of keep doing what we're doing. Obviously more more printing. I'm trying to grow the embroidery department at the moment. We only bought the machine probably, what would that be? Maybe when was that? September last year. I haven't really you know, pumped it as like the be and all end all that we do a lot of embroidery. So I've started actually doing just a bit of contract printing for other companies. We've got a couple shops nearby that sell embroidery, don't do it, so we're taking on a bunch of their work. So yeah, we're doing a bit more contracty stuff. I'm still deciding if I love doing contract work or if I don't love doing contract work. It's easy. I don't think I priced it as cheap as a lot of people would like, but I also need to make it worth me doing it.
yeah,
Is kind of what I always end up at. I'm like, I'd rather not do the work and then work for no money.
mm,
Which is kind of like a learning experience for a lot of shop owners. Because at the start, you'll take on every piece of work that you can get. And then eventually you need to get to the point where you're like, not doing work is almost as good as doing the work sometimes.
yeah,
So yeah, just working on growing the embroidery department. I've maybe got someone that's looking to come on for a couple of days to do screen printing. He's been around for like 20 plus years doing printing all over the world. So hopefully I can convince him to come do a couple of days a week, and then free me up a little bit more to work a bit more on the business. Because at the moment I do all the screen printing. I have a staff member that does all the digital printing, and I have another staff member that does all the embroidery. So I'd love to be off screen printing a couple of days a week, try and work on the business a bit more. And then yeah, I just need to work on my. I got to finish setting up Deco Network and work on my like shop management side of things, and then yeah, more brand stuff. It's 10 years of my clothing brand in August, so I'd like to release a few things and kind of do something for that. I haven't really decided yet what it will be, but I'm also running out of time.
I was going to say, when are you going to do all this? Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
like
yeah,
do really long hours? You know, do you start super early and end late, or what do you?
depends what it is. So, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I start 9 o'clock, finish it, depending on what the day is and what I got on. Like, I might finish at 3 or 5, depending on how I'm feeling. And then Thursday, Friday, I usually try and get in at like 6:30 in the morning, and then I'll usually work till 5, 6 o'clock. Those days, come in on Saturdays if I need to. If I need to pull an all-nighter and get a job done, we'll pull an all-nighter and get a job done. I'm not really super strict on set work hours. Like, I love hanging out at my shop. It's really nice. It's air conditioned. It's my space that, it presents how I want to present it. And there's all of my favorite things are here: screen printing, making stuff. So yeah, I don't mind coming to work and working crazy hours if I have to. I've done lots of it over the years. I'm sure most screen printers do. I think my favorite one was had a customer that needed 400 tees, and we picked up the tees from another shop at, I think it was 7 p.m. on the Gold Coast, and then I had to drive back home. So I got home at 9 p.m. and then I had to deliver 400 shirts, front and back print, discharging to Brisbane at 5 o'clock the next day. Manual printing also. Yeah. So that was a fun one. Started at 9 p.m. I think I finished printing that night at about 4, slept for about 3 hours, got back up, printed till the afternoon. Oh, folded a bag as well. So we folded and bagged them, got them in the boxes, and then drove to Brisbane to drop them off. So yeah, that was a fun one. That's my favorite one so far. But yeah, I don't know. You just work where you have to.
Yeah.
And then one day, hopefully not. Yeah, I've been thinking about that longer term. I'm like, in the next like 5 to 10, I guess, the shop running without me would be spectacular. But who knows how much the industry will change by then, and we might have robots doing all printing, and I don't think the shop doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, somehow I think that'll take a wee bit longer, but
yeah, hopefully
some things are kind of moving in that direction, aren't they? How about
yeah,
you, Josh?
absolutely.
Do you do long hours? How does your week pan out usually?
Yeah, I usually get here. Oh, it depends. I'm usually here by 6, and then I usually try and leave it by 6 as well. But yeah, I feel like I'm just in the routine of it now. So I get up early. I've always gotten up early, I guess, and my previous job as well, just used to getting up. So I'm usually here pretty early, and then yeah, I just leave whenever until I got to make sure I get home in time to not get in trouble.
Yeah, good idea. I feel like if you set your auto up, you probably won't have to work as long.
Well, that too. It looks really good though, in pieces.
I don't know how you've done it for so long. How long's it been sitting there now? 3 months?
Longer. It was it'd be like 5 months now, probably.
Yeah, wow, that's outrageous. I remember I had mine sitting there for probably maybe 3 weeks, and then I had this one. I think I had like a couple hundred-piece job, and then I finished printing it, and I was like, I'm done. And then I grabbed the grabbed the pallet jack. I picked up the screen printing carousel, drove it out the front, and then I moved the auto into place. I'm like, I got to set it up and do it now.
Doing it right now.
Yep. I was like, this. I've had enough. Whatever days we're behind, we're going to be behind, but we're setting it up.
You force yourself to do it.
100%. And then sell your manual, so you can't start doing auto stuff. You're like, this job's so annoying. I'll just chuck it on the manual and finish it off. Just get rid of it. So then you have to knuckle down and learn how to do it.
There you go, Josh. There's the challenge, mate.
There's my advice.
I just got to do it.
Yeah, actually, give me your address. I'll come with a ute and I'll take your frigging gill roll away, and then you got no other choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, you'll just start ordering transfers, won't you?
Yeah, probably.
And maybe that's the right business decision. Go back to that.
Yeah, love that. Buy an auto and then park it in the corner so you can buy transfers.
Yeah.
So, got a couple of questions from other listeners.
Is this live?
No, it's not.
Okay, lucky. That's
We're
good.
not that cool. We're not that cool.
No,
just from previous things.
Yeah, sweet.
Oh yeah, okay. I think Yeah. So how do you go about pricing? How do you work out your prices? I guess when do you change them? Like AS Color put their prices up beginning of this month. Did you change your prices then? Like, how do you generally do that without
I got
giving
really
too
lucky
much
with
away?
the AS Color thing. I managed to go up a tier, and then I was on good pricing for about a month, and then the price increase happened. So I'm just back to where I was. So all of my pricing is actually the same because I'm still buying for exactly what it was before. Still actually might be a touch cheaper, but yeah. So pricing, yeah, I haven't really changed it too much. Pricing print jobs, I feel like I price everything a lot higher for screen print than other places because I have to do the screen printing. So I
Mhm.
always take into account that I need to put in the effort to do it. So I'll price it a little bit higher so it's worth me doing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then I don't really do price breaks that often unless people are like complain. But then I've also found that I don't know about you guys, but every time I quote a job, pretty much people just take it. I don't really have that many people go, "That's too expensive. I'm going somewhere else." I honestly can't even remember last time someone told me it was too expensive. So maybe I am too cheap.
It's so hard to
Mm,
know.
I would, yeah. I mean, I've got some prices on my website, but you guys can tell me if that's too expensive. But people see that and they go, "Cool, that's what it costs," and just order it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and then yeah, screen printing people. We're also in a really unique time at the moment. Like, I don't know if you guys like near where you are might not be that many shops because you guys are a bit more regional, but we've had so many print shops close that there's not really that many left. So even just people find someone that can screen print and they'll just pay whatever it is because there's no one else to take on the job.
Mm.
Because yeah, I think we've got, I could be wrong, but including me on the coast, like active shops that seem like doing a bunch of stuff is probably maybe like five for like, Caloundra to Noosa, which is, like a, what's that, 70-kilometer spread.
Wow.
There's not really, yeah, so five print shops in that whole area. We've got a bunch of like workwear shops as well, but like I said, I don't really do any workwear, so that doesn't affect me at all. Whereas you compare it to like the Gold Coast, and then Gold Coast is probably what, 25 shops
Mm.
from,
Big
Twin
ones
Heads
too.
to, yeah, a lot of big ones. Whereas according to AS Color, I'm the biggest AS Color buyer on the Sunny Coast. So I don't really believe that I'm a large shop. Like we got an auto, 8 heads of embroidery, a DTF printer, three staff. Like we're not big. I feel like that's pretty small.
Well, it depends how efficient you are and how many you're putting through. You know what I mean? Some small
Yeah,
shops are doing a lot of prints. With the pricing thing, um, we what you said really resonated in that we don't hear very often that our prices are too expensive. So you do think, let's try and work that out. What we try and do is just upsell on quantities. So we do have price breaks, but
yeah,
they're diminishing returns for the customer, right? So if someone comes on for 56, this is the price. Someone comes on for 100, it's the same price. Someone comes on for 300, we'll alter the price a little bit. It's kind
yeah,
of like that. Um, Occasionally we do get, um, we use Zero for accounting here. And so we get, what is the correct term? Quotes are disapproved or rejected. And I often go back and say, sorry, we missed that, any particular issue in the price. And sometimes they'll just say, yeah, well, we didn't want them in the end, which is
yeah,
possibly not the case because you just ignore the quote. But sometimes they do say, oh no, we found a local guy, is the language, cheaper. I just think that's great, awesome, go for it. That's terrific. If it's a particularly big job, we might try and win it back.
yeah,
That does happen.
yeah,
But apart from that, we wouldn't alter prices too much. But it is hard to know where to pitch it. And if anyone does say we're expensive, we do say to them, it's not about the t-shirt or the print. You want that. You want it to be the best it is. But we've also got really good customer service and that comes at a price. And people understand that. They know that. You know, go,
Absolutely. Yeah.
go to a cafe with fantastic food and coffee, and the service is mediocre or bad, you won't go back, even though it's great food. You know, at least I wouldn't. Maybe you guys would, I don't know. But I certainly wouldn't. Um, yeah, Josh, did you want to add anything else about pricing?
I've I've always really struggled with pricing, and last year especially, I was like, we too high, we too low, and then I've got some like wild spreadsheets now. I know exactly like what it costs, like down to like the minute of like unboxing something or
Wow.
cutting out the DTF.
Wow.
Um, I'm charging for everything. But from that, it is really helpful to sort of like open my eyes. Like our price is what it is because that's what it costs us, which has been really helpful with some like sort of equipment decisions, um, and like what we want to do with like the stores and stuff. It's like we can't do that yet. So, um, but it's still the same. Like we think we need to put our prices up, and then the other day I had someone say that we were like we're a lot dearer than than two other places. So I was like, well, maybe we're too expensive. So I don't know. I think being able to know your actual price um, gives you some peace of mind at least.
Mm.
And then it's just up to, yeah.
But yeah, it's hard because you also don't know what like inputs those other shops have. Like if they're running a cheap Chinese DTF printer, obviously if you're buying transfers, you're not going to be able to compete with someone that's printing in house. There are a
Mm,
lot more wiggle room in what they can afford. But then also even on like the ink side, like there's a lot of ink that you can buy in the country that's you know, $300 for 20 liters of white ink. But then you go buy, Wilflex or something like that, and it's closer to what are they, $700-800 or whatever. Like it's closer to that sort of mark. So
mm,
like someone's input cost could be half of your ink cost, but that's because they're using this cheap Asian stuff. Looks great for 20 washes and then goes to crap because I've
mm.
tried it. It's not that good. But yeah, so you never really know that. And then pricing's really difficult. I found I
Yeah.
have an amount I'd like to make per side of a shirt all the time. So I pretty much try and average my jobs out to be that. Um, yeah, I don't have a spreadsheet. I don't even think I have Excel on my computer. So, but it seems to work. We make enough money and we
Mm,
don't lose a lot of good jobs, so we're not too expensive. And then we don't have heaps of people coming here because we're super cheap.
Yeah.
Everyone just kind of goes, that seems like a reasonable amount. But the suppliers do make that hard. Like I remember when a staple tee was like $4 something.
Mm.
I
Oh
haven't
my
been in
god.
it long enough.
Oh wow. You're missing out. It used to be unreal. So yeah, but I don't know. Yeah. I always find it fun when I have customers I quote them for a shirt and they're like, "Holy crap, how much does stuff cost these days?" And I'm like, "Man, that's just what it is." I remember
Yeah.
coming back to when during COVID I had a deal going. It was single side, single color Gildan shirt for $10 printed if you ordered 50. But you were buying a tee for less than $5, and I'm like $5 to print a side at home. I don't have any overheads.
Yeah, you also at home. Yeah.
Yeah, make
Exactly.
$250 off a job that takes you, 40 minutes. I'm like,
And that
do that any day of the week.
and
Mhm.
that's where we got to talk about how we compete, right? Because anyone can do that. We have actually done that. We've set up in our garages and got going. But to move from doing, I mean, DTF changes it, but to move from doing even a single color to a two color print when you start out screen printing is quite nerve-wracking. It's quite a big
Mm,
feat. Then to move to three color, four color, etc., or even to CMYK, let alone full simulated process, they're massive jumps. So, but they could go and get a DTF machine or start buying DTF from someone else. And that's where the market upset is, I think. That's where
Mm.
we're going to experience the pain. Um, so maybe the answer is to do what you're saying, Josh. Minimum's now 50. when we spoke to Jody from Dark Label, I got a feeling they set theirs at 50 or 45. They moved it
Something like
up
that.
because of that, and that takes away that pain barrier in terms of the extra cost because we're making more money, we can compete more. And I think
Mm.
that's maybe the answer, which leads me to a linked question from Jody. Shout out to Jody. I think they've just come back from a colossal trip around Europe. Are any other printers finding it hard to keep up with the ever-changing wages and super and costs of goods? Are printers increasing their prices to combat this? I might lead off on this because I've got a theory about this, that businesses get stuck in thinking that their value is based on where they are now and what their current revenue is per annum, and obviously their profit they're trying to yield out of it. So when their suppliers put up their prices, you immediately kind of go, I can't afford to put up my prices, we'll lose the custom. But if you switch your business model maybe to increasing the minimums, as an example, which is what we did for the last, in terms of getting the benefit, the cheaper rate for the last 3 increases that AS Color have done, it repositions you and allows you to kind of say, we actually don't want those small customers that are only giving us $200 or $500, whatever it is. We want the 3, 4, 5 plus thousand jobs. Let's go after them. But I don't think we should, like, it is hard, right? Because super's a nightmare. Wages just keep going up, doesn't matter what government you have. When my man came over from the UK to learn how to print for a couple of months, he couldn't get over what people earn here, right? He was like, really? You serious? And immediately wanted to emigrate. But it's difficult because most businesses will lag behind when everything goes up, and they'll try and gradually, almost surreptitiously, put up their rates. But you look at how all the ink manufacturers deal with us, AS Color, like all of them will turn around and say, hey guys, it's the same story. Everything's costing more. We're going to hit you for more. So my answer to that is yes, we're putting up our prices. I don't think it's changed anything, but we're after the bigger orders. Let the guys in the people in the garages do their own thing, whether it's DTF or otherwise. They'll never be able to buy a T-shirt as cheaply as we can from AS Cut. We being, bigger commercial companies, yourselves included in that, right? And so we should always be able to compete at some level, but compete for what? The bigger pie. And I think that's how I answer that question. But are you having the same issue? You see the prices go up, super, man alive. I mean, it's expensive to employ people here.
Mm.
Yep. Yep. It sucks, eh?
It's just we do fortnightly, you pay fortnightly, and it's like you're like, yeah. And then you see like how much you gotta pay on like that Tuesday night. I'm like, ah, yeah.
Yep. Nah, see, I'm weekly. I'd way rather stuff go out weekly. It doesn't hurt as much.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
we do weekly pays here.
We do monthly here. Can't
Oh, do
believe
you?
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
We just pay monthly.
Yeah,
Wow.
right.
All right. Well, there you go. Three different
Yeah,
ways
that's
to do
right.
things.
Well,
Actually, that's a good lead in. Payment for jobs. Are you guys deposit up front, percentage up front, full amount up front? What have you found the best?
100% upfront.
Mm.
End of story.
Yeah,
That's all we do.
yeah, 100% up front all day. There's still a lot of shops that exist that aren't.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah.
I feel like a
Risky.
lot of customers expect that too, and they're like,
Yeah,
nah, I'm not doing this thing that I can't. Like, what am I going to
yeah.
do with it if you don't pay? And no one's in a rush to pay once they've got their stuff. So,
It was very funny. I had a customer not that long ago, and I think the invoice was maybe like $4,000 or something like that. Like it's pretty decent for like your shirt job. But yeah, he's like, "Oh, can I pay like 50% now and then 50% when they're done? It'd be really sick for cash flow if I could do that." And I was like, "Yeah, man, might be sweet for your cash flow, but it's really terrible for my cash
Yeah.
flow." And he was like, "Oh, yeah, you're right."
Yeah, that's right. We are not a bank. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Go get
honestly,
the
I've
money
said
from
that to
somewhere
customers
else.
before. I'm like, we're not a bank. If you need credit, go talk to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
My staff still need to be paid while your job's getting done. Um, I can't print your job today because I have to order in new things from AS Color, so I'm waiting X amount of time. And then also, it's really bad during like winter. Like half of what a hoodie job isn't what the hoodie cost at all.
Mm, mm.
Um, so yeah, there's all of that. But then as well, like if you print enough with companies, they'll give you credit accounts, so then that's kind of less of a worry. But I don't
We
know. Yeah, I've just found 100% upfront. If you want it done, you can pay for it. If you don't want to pay for it, you can't get it done.
Do you guys take credit with on account with suppliers? Like we just pay on invoice
Yeah,
everything,
I
I'd
just
rather not
I
have
even
to
if we're
think
on
about it.
account.
yeah,
Yeah.
I pay up front.
Yeah, we
I
just
Um,
pay
like
straight
to
away.
like to know that I'm not owing anything. Like in my head, it's
yeah,
like what's in the bank account is there's still other costs, but like it's mostly I'm not guessing at how much of that is actual
yeah,
our
exactly.
money.
Well, yeah, especially because I think like a month with some suppliers is like $30,000. You're like, oh, that's a big bill to receive.
Yeah,
Mm.
So
yeah.
yeah, that'd be no fun. Um, but yeah, probably should do the old rewards credit card thing. I don't know if you guys do that yet.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, big time.
Everyone
Yeah,
else talks about it. I don't do it, but I need to pull my finger out
yeah.
and
I'm in the same boat. I keep thinking about it. I'm like, oh, I'd get heaps of points, and then I just go back to not worrying about it.
No, if you can
Whatever.
play it, it's worth doing. Definitely.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
did it.
It's on the to-do list. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's worth it. You know, buying a lot of apparel, especially. Josh, just a question for you, mate. Like you mentioned that you know how much it costs to do everything, you know, that kind of really granular level. How did you work all that out? Like, is it just millions of spreadsheets or
I've
how
just
did you?
got one big. Oh, I've got different ones, but the main one is like it is like well, actually the screen printing one's pretty wild as well. But I got that from someone like on a Facebook group years ago when I first started. I sort of just adapted it. Um, but like our screen printing and our embroidery and DTF one, yeah, I just sort of have just timed everything. Like it's mostly from like when I was doing it more. So I've been wanting to sort of update it to a bit more like when it's actually an employee doing it and they might not be doing it with as much urgency or whatever.
Yeah,
Employees working
Yeah.
slow. Are you crazy? That never happens.
Yeah.
that's right.
They're running.
What?
But yeah, I just sort of each step that sort of takes time, I've just um, it's sort of like an average, I guess, but tried to be as accurate as I can for that step, and then each because we have price breaks, each price break sort of has one of those costs assigned to it.
Okay, right.
Yeah, no, I've definitely never nerded out that hard on it.
I
I
think we
love it.
can nerd out too hard. Like we nerd out pretty intense as well. It doesn't sound as cool as yours, I have to say, but we spend a lot of energy analyzing the quantity of invoices, the quantity of actual garments, the quantity of conversions from quotes to invoices, that kind of stuff, the average order value, that sort of thing. What it costs to run hourly here, that level, but not down to the level that you're working at, which sounds very, very helpful, that kind of info. I don't know if I could even work out what that info is, to be honest here.
Knowing that like cost per hour thing is like that is so important, I think, and I think that's where a lot of people can get caught up because you think it costs not that much to do something. It's like, oh, actually, like we just spent $160 doing nothing,
Mm,
like
mm,
or whatever it is. So, um, yeah, I think even
Mm.
just getting a rough idea of that, in your head really puts things into perspective as a print shop owner.
mm, for
I don't
sure.
know.
For
I
sure.
feel like that almost like would make me unhappy at work.
Stresses me out all the time.
Yeah.
I'm constantly
See, I don't
stressed.
know any of that stuff. So I feel
You've
like
got
my
the
day's
right
a lot
answer.
easier than yours.
Yeah, maybe I am going about it the wrong way.
Yeah. Well, like even if you think about it, like if you like you stand there and chat to the staff for half an hour in the morning,
I
in
know
your head
exactly
you're
how
like,
much I
this is
just spent
you're
on
like, this
them.
cost me friggin' $125 to talk to the staff and get a
Uh-huh.
plan for the day and like, just see how everyone's going and all that kind of stuff. Whereas I'll have a chat to the boys and cool man, let's go do some work now. Try and get as much done as we can today, and then hopefully none of these jobs are running too long. And
Yeah.
then there's enough money coming in every week to pay everyone, and then put some aside for new equipment, and we're making money, paying bills. So yeah, I haven't got that stress that I need to work out how much it costs me per minute.
And one of the things, so are you a company, Jacob? What's your business
No,
structure?
I'm still trading as at the moment. I need to change it over, but with all my spare time
Yeah,
to
that's
make that
right.
happen. And then yeah, I'll change that over. Well, so I've been doing it like that because I want to buy a house. Then after I buy the house, I'm going to convert it all across and then make no money like every shop owner.
Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, you always want to have money in the bank and you want to have growth, but principally in all the businesses I've run, this one's a bit different. It's always nice not to make a profit if you're able to capitalize on that on the way through each year, because
Yep.
then you'll save another 20%. Even if you take the money for yourself, for the team, or whatever is going to happen, we bonus people here. Do you guys bonus?
Around Christmas. I'd like to do it a little bit more often, but I feel like it's got to be a pretty, yeah, a wild time. Like, yeah, everyone's done a really good job, but we do something at Christmas.
That's good. How about
Yeah,
yourself, Jacob?
I haven't really had permanent staff long enough to warrant that yet. So I think I've probably only really been like 2 years of having other staff in the shop. Like I've had people in and out, and then the current ones that I have, I've probably only had maybe 12 months. So yeah, we haven't really thought about that yet. Yeah, it's just another bridge to cross later. Um, but yeah, I'm looking at getting a sales person as well because currently I don't have anyone that does sales. It's just me, and then the two boys just print jobs that I give them. So yeah, I haven't really worked that out yet, but probably definitely give them a Christmas bonus this year because they've been working great.
I think it's a good idea. I do, especially if
Mm.
you've got,
Absolutely.
you're developing a team and, they're kind of, if they're getting a bonus, everyone's contributed to that in this industry. It's not like the executives made all the sales and, it's all down to them. No, it's, you've got to follow through with the product here. So
Mm.
everybody's contributing. So I think it works.
I like just doing I like just doing stuff randomly. I think they all really appreciate. Like even while I was in Thailand, like my teams, they're all girls, and it was like International Women's Day while I was over in Thailand, and I got flowers delivered to them all with like a message saying like thanks hello dude because they're freaking unreal. So like just stuff like that, it
Yeah,
might
wow.
cost me like $150 or something, but keeps them like they loved it. So
Yeah, that's a
Was
great
that
idea.
was that the balloon thing as well?
oh that's it. And then I got back and I had an office full of balloons. We had so much fun with those balloons actually.
I
Yeah,
see
sweet.
you've been doing quite a lot more social media. It's been quite a gas watching that.
That's Bella, our new employee. She does that now. So it's different because it's a bit more like, yeah, it's been working, I think, but it is a bit different to like what I'd be used to normally posting, I guess.
I
How's
was
it
going to
on the
ask how
gags
the
reel?
socials is going.
Yeah, so like, and she's been good. Because she did it's a really interesting degree. She's like just finished uni, but she did like marketing and product design, which is pretty
Oh,
wild thing. So it's kind of like her perfect job, I guess. Um, but she tracks it each week of like how we've done, and yeah, it's been interesting. It goes up every week, but one thing we do need to sort out is our probably our social media marketing because that hasn't been as awesome as we thought it might be this year. So yeah,
Well, it's better than
Interesting.
ours. Jacob, you're about to ramp up on yours as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I've actually started filming things.
hell
So
yeah.
yeah, and then yeah, I'm about to start doing. I don't know. Everyone's on Instagram, so I'm not going to get on that. I I did mention it earlier on that actually, I don't know if I did mention it today. Anyway, so ages ago, after I had my brother GDX for about 6 months, I made a YouTube video on it. And that went to like 30, 40K views of people just watching it. Like if you Google brother GTX review, you get to see this head. So
Mhm.
I'm still big on the YouTube train. I reckon that's still the place to be. So I'm going to start, and I've done the occasional print shop video throughout the years. But yeah, I think I'm going to focus on doing a lot more print shop videos. It's yeah, because I got like 6,000 subscribers on there. It's not that big, like, but it's people like watching it. They love seeing the process. Because a lot of my followers aren't print shops. It's never been a print channel, so it's people that watch drifting content and they go, "Oh, cool, how's that work?" So it's really good for that. But then also great advertising. Like people that watch it, they work somewhere, they own their own businesses, like all that kind of stuff. Or there are other people that are passionate about drifting and want to start a brand because they want to be more involved in it. And then, that trickles over to here. So if I can show the print shop and then, you only need a couple of videos to take off and then people recognize you for printing.
Mm.
So yeah, that's kind of what my next sort of move is on that. I definitely forgot about saying that earlier when you asked what I was doing this year. But yeah, doing a lot more YouTube, like printing. So I think that'll be the go. And then yeah, obviously post on Instagram more than once a month, like I have been.
I find the Instagram like we love Instagram. It's probably where most of our exposure is. Um, and we advertise, as you're probably both aware, on Insta. Um, but I find it so difficult. Like I'm thinking about not hiring someone to do it, but creating some kind of deal with someone to do certain amounts for so long. But I don't know, I run out of ideas very quickly.
Mm.
Used to do those videos where you just kind of go around the press, someone puts a t-shirt on, oh, here's the underbase, after a while you're like, this is just so boring.
Mm.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just
Yep.
when the image comes out, it looks different. It hopefully looks cool, but no one really wants to see all of that, you know.
No.
Um, yeah, and there's a kind of equipment snobbery thing there as well, isn't there? People showing off whatever press they've got or whatever, you
Mhm.
know, and
Yeah.
I find that a bit sickly, to be honest. Um,
But then the thing as well with that is like, you buy a screen printing, like you buy an automatic, you bought it once and then you keep it for 20 years. Like you can't keep cycling new content of like, oh, we got this new press, this is what it does compared to the old one. You're like, oh, we got the same press from, 1999, it's still pumping.
yeah,
Is a one color front and back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's right.
exactly. So that's also what I found. Obviously, you guys watch Lee Stewart, but I've noticed with him, he did everything. Like showed you how to learn to screen print, showed you how to learn to heat
Mm.
press, showed you how to learn to embroidery, DTG. He did all that. Then he moved to automatic, and then he's like, "These are the things you can do on an automatic." And then it got to a point where it's like you have no things left to show people. Like there's no
Mm.
more how tos. And then it's, this is what we did this week in the shop. And then I feel like you can tell from his videos, he did a couple, this is in the week in the shop. And you're like, it's fucking boring. It's the same video over and over. Um, yeah, like your print shop, you do the same stuff every week, just a different color.
That's
Mm.
right. That is
So
exactly right.
yeah, that's what's really hard about, I found with the print shop content. It does get very stale very quick. So I was just going to sprinkle bits in here and there. Um, but yeah, like I was saying, my brother GDX video was 5 years ago. So now to replace that, I bought something 5 years later, and now I can do a video on that. So that's about
Yeah,
the turnaround time for the print side of YouTube. But yeah, it's just I I think the idea is just be active and show that you're still doing stuff and show off some really nice stuff that you do. And then yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I'll get 3 videos in and be like, this is boring.
yeah. And it's
Yeah.
the humor angle like that's what you've introduced, Josh. You've got a bit more humor in what you're
Yeah,
doing, and
we're trying to make it a bit more personal, I guess, so people aren't when they get a quote or whatever, it's not, it's like, yeah, is the price right? It's sort of like, like Josh is doing it or Bella's doing it or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a bit more personal for them to go get their stuff done elsewhere. It's like they're breaking up with us. That's what we're
Yeah.
trying to do.
Yeah. I've honestly found that. I feel it's 3 times more effective for me to post on my personal Instagram than it is on the printed Instagram.
Hmm.
So like I'll post on mine something that we're doing, and then I'll get 5 people messaging me like, "Oh, hey man, we actually need this done, or we need this done." So it's kind of like my personal Instagram is more synonymous with printing than the printing Instagram is.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
because on your printing Instagram, you've just got lots of people like us following you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. And to be fair, I only follow other people like you guys as well. I just like watching printing.
yeah,
Yeah. And then
yeah,
some
they get
shops
off
on the
on it.
Gold Coast blocked me because of it.
So I had a question. See, see, see what you think of this. I know this has been done elsewhere, but of course, this podcast is attempting to be Aussie focused primarily. What do you guys think of the idea of creating a WhatsApp group or some other medium to communicate for screen printers of all different levels and experiences, just to kind of swap stories and ask, questions? I'm not talking about something that's got thousands of people, but what do you think of that as an idea? Would you be up for that?
Are you not in any yet?
I've been in the yes, I'm the lonely guy out here. No,
Yeah.
I've been in the one, the American one. I forget what the app's called now, but it's not WhatsApp. It's
Oh, Discord.
what is it called?
Discord.
Discord. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just got
Yeah.
sick of it. It just didn't sort of. It wasn't very chatty. That at least maybe that was my experience. Maybe everyone else was fine with it.
Yeah. Well, I'm in a couple like group chats that have other shop owners and stuff like that. Um, Honestly, they're very helpful. You can post in and be like, "Hey, I need X, Y, Z, or where can I buy something similar to this?" And yeah, it's super handy. But I don't know. You gotta like, it's hard with how like nationwide screen printing is now. Like, you have customers who live in Armidale or Toowoomba that they get stuff printed in Melbourne.
Mm.
So realistically, if you're talking to other shop owners, they are your competition.
Mm,
So that still boils down at the end of the day. You are a shop that's competitive with another shop. You're all looking for the same customers.
mm,
You all want someone that'll come in and order 1,500 tees, pay full rate, single color front
Mm.
and back, and then send you a bunch of money up front. Like we're all looking for the same thing. So that's where when those groups get really big, it becomes an issue.
yeah.
So talking back to that interview that George did on the Jones Brothers website, he was saying he doesn't really love posting on Instagram that often because other shops will try and poach his customers.
Yeah. Right.
So
Oh,
there's
yeah.
still a lot of that in the industry. So that's why I think, those chats become a bit hard unless you get a really small, close knit group of guys that are all similar mindset. Whereas, like, I've got zero interest in talking to Josh's customers. I've got zero interest in talking to your customers. I've got
Mm.
my own people that I'm happy working with. I don't need to snake anyone else in the business. Where there's still a bunch of other shops out there that they'll message you customers that you tag and be like,
Mm.
we'll undercut them,
Mm,
promise them the world, and then the customers will go get a run done, and then they come straight back because that's when you're dealing with snakes, you're going to get bit.
yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's where I find it's still pretty hard. Whereas I think in America it's probably a little bit easier because of how far, like, people don't really like over there is a really different thing. Like, East Coast won't steal customers from the West Coast because people don't want to pay for shipping and they want
Yeah.
stuff local and they want to get it the next day and all kinds of stuff. Whereas
Yeah.
in Australia, people are used to waiting for everything. Like, I've got customers in Perth and I'm not sure how it's economical, but apparently it is. Same as I've got customers up in Cairns. They're like, "Oh, we can't find a print shop local that it honestly works out pretty much the same price." And you guys reply to emails, you call us on the phone, like all that kind of stuff.
Mm.
So Australia, it's just a totally different marketplace, I find.
Mm.
So a small group then.
Yeah,
I feel like they
yeah,
got to be you got to be around the same stage as well. I think
yeah,
because it could be a bit. I like
yeah,
it could be a bit annoying. Like there's always yeah.
yeah. If you've got a shop in there with 5 automatics and they're talking to people that are a single, manual press in their garage,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, you're kind of playing different sports at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah. So I don't know. very
Could be
tough.
handy.
I'll
Could
just stick to trash talk and all the other screen printers on Instagram, replying to their stories and making fun of them.
Yes, it's a funny market. I found most people to be really good though over here. Just a couple of times, I think some printers have tried to poach stuff from us.
Yeah,
But
no, it's a thing. I've never thought of being that slimy at all.
Mm.
I just think it's outrageous. But it is also commerce, you know. And we're careful, like the guys at Phantom. We don't post the stuff we really don't want, you know,
Yeah.
poached.
Well, yeah, I've one customer, and yeah, I've had many print shops try and poach them.
Yeah, wow,
Yeah, like approach them at events, hand out business cards.
wow.
Like, yeah, it's a full thing. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, uh, whatever.
Well, it may just be a WhatsApp group of 3 people at this stage. They're
Yeah.
you have to go through a vetting process to get on the group.
It's not a
Yeah,
bad idea, actually. That probably would be
which
the go.
which honestly, that's totally reasonable. That's how you need to be.
Mm.
It is
Uh,
nice helping people though. I like, I
Mm.
enjoy, um, because we just come through the same channel as most people, right? Didn't know how to do this, thought it'd be cool. Wow, this is awesome. Next minute you've got a business. I love
yeah,
helping people. I was chatting to a guy called Silvio who runs a studio called Pretty Gnarly Studio, I think in Adelaide. Um, just a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember what he was after, but he was wanting to get some advice on something. And he's an actual, he's a real artist and is just breaking into it to do his own clothing brand. I just love chatting to him and, giving up any kind of small pearls of wisdom I may or may not have. I think those kind of things are great as well. But his work's awesome. Check him out. Pretty Gnarly Studios. Good shout out. Any other shout outs from you guys?
no, just shout out to me.
Yeah.
If anyone's watching this, follow me on Instagram. I'll follow you back. Yeah, I don't know, nothing too crazy. Um, yeah. What else?
There's another question.
Oh, sweet.
And then we can maybe uh, check any others that we might have. Where was it? Oh, yeah, yeah. What's your personal favorite print that you have ever done that you can remember in brackets?
That
Like
I can
one that you
remember.
might be proud of, an awesome design. I can only think of one. We do so many things, don't we? And you kind of forget in the afternoon what it was you printed in the morning.
Yeah, I can't really think of much that I've done. Um, I don't
I
know. One of my
reckon.
customers, like I choose a bunch of his designs and I'll like get them done and then choose colors and X, Y, Z. So I think that's a really fun creative outlet for me, being able to kind of pick everything for them and then see how well they sell. Oh, actually, no. Recently, I did one for Shed Life, and it was like a really cool bright orange faded into a red text. It was like a gorilla with some spanners in its mouth.
Mm.
Just I don't know. It's just exactly my style.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that was a really cool one. And then I think with that one as well, I just first mix of color so with that one, Mac lets me kind of do my own thing, picking colors and stuff like that. And I mixed this orange, blended it into the red, and like lined up the screens beautifully. First time, I was just like, everything just looks immaculate. And yeah, that was probably a really fun one that I've done recently.
Nice.
But I can't remember anything else off the top of my head because it's more than a month ago.
What about you, Sam?
I can't remember anything like that. Although, yeah, I can remember a few designs that I thought, wow, that's really nice. That's come up really well. The one that I do remember, which was was it CMYK or simulated process? Probably simulated process, but the print wasn't anything particularly special. It was a photograph of her, but it was Susie Quattro's tour t-shirts a few years ago when she was over here. You're too young, I suspect, to know who I'm talking about. she's
I know
she's
the
a
name.
I've heard the name.
Yeah,
I
that's
would.
about
oh well,
all.
that's
I
great.
couldn't
That's a
give you
good
any
start.
verses off the top of my head.
She's probably 70 now, but she's a kind of some kind of feminist icon really from the 70s and 80s. Bass player in a band called Susie Quattro, and whatever the band were called. This kind of heavy rock musician, but still going and seen as this kind of female icon of yeah, feminism, I guess. But yeah, we got a call from her agent, and we'd really like you to print them. I was like, okay. We were working in a garage, you know. It's like kind of a
Oh
bit
yeah.
weird. But
Yeah.
yeah, we did them and sent them off, and that was kind of neat. I thought, wow, like obviously she's not packing stadiums, clearly. Um, but yeah, that's all I can think of. Anything from you, Josh?
I think and it's not cool at all, but it was like when I first like nailed my white print, like when I was back at home and you
Yeah.
like put it down, it's like smooth and opaque. And I was like, hell yeah. And I still like remember that, like, that's why I remember that more than any of the other experience of screen printing. But I think that was the best one.
I get that. I really get
Yeah.
that.
That's a
Yeah.
good one. I like it.
It's it is nice when you finally go, yes.
Yeah, just some random business logo. I don't know what it was, but I remember like it's like, yeah, that's sick. Finally.
That's good. All right. Any other queries, questions from either of you before we wrap it up for the day?
No, I'm sure I'll think of a bunch as soon as I get off the call. But
That was round two.
yeah,
Yeah, round two.
surely come up with something, some more questions one time.
Oh yeah.
Talk more digital. I don't know. You guys thinking of bringing digital in house?
You already know Sam's answer probably.
It's
Wow, that
a
might be why he was here yesterday.
it's a tricky one. I'll start the bidding on this because yeah, look, it's funny. On the way home, I was actually on the phone to our current DDF provider, who's great. I mean, a good guy. Um, and they run a number of machines, but getting consistency in the prints, you know, if we're doing reprints, you know, we've got customers that come back again and again and again, and getting that same consistency, a bit like the yellow ink issue you mentioned earlier, Jacob, has been an issue. Um, Getting quality of, you know, even just the cut, so that they'll cut transfers for us, and getting quality around that has been hard. And other issues like underbase creep and time to live, right? Like you're supposed to be able to order before 11, they'll be on a truck the same day, or, you know, for them it's Ozpost. You know, forget it, man. We're dealing with commercial carriers here. We can't mess around with Ozpost and Star Trek. So we've had to kind of modify a lot of their business processes. And after a while, and you'll know it, you get the same thing. You know, you're expecting these transfers in on this day, they come in 3 days later. That's a major stuff up for you in your process. And they don't need to know that. They don't need to understand that, but you need them to know it. You need them to understand it. So I kind of mooted the idea that we probably would look at getting something, if only to fill the gaps or to do quicker turnaround. Yeah, it's going to be a lot cheaper as well. But I worry a little if we get, you know, something similar to what you've got, Jacob, whether the demand will be too big for one machine, and then I got to get another one, and suddenly I'm a DTF manufacturer and not a screen printer. And that's the bit that, you know, troubles me. Yes, we've got the Rock Impress coming. You were making an allusion to that earlier on that I didn't miss. And that we're excited about. We're super excited about that. That's due here at the end of May. And we've got the one that I forget what the correct term is, but it's the one that places the actual transfer on the garment as well. So we're excited about that. It should increase our productivity in that area. But is transfers the answer for everything? No, it isn't. We know that. We've talked about that already. But it probably is a lot more than we think. And I think that's what I gleaned from you, Jacob, yesterday,
Yep.
is it actually extends itself into what we currently do a lot more than we realize, as long as we're not precious about our religious war. You know,
Yep.
I'm an
Correct.
artisan, and I feel like that's where the commercial rub is. So yes, and probably yes is the answer that I'd give to that question. How about you, Josh?
Yeah, I think for similar reasons, like being a little bit out of the way, for us, it's just turnaround time. Um, to get it, like if our stuff doesn't ship from our supplier on like a Tuesday, chances are we're not going to get it until the following Monday, which is like, and you have to, yeah.
What?
Sometimes it's surprising. Sometimes it'll get here on like the Thursday,
Oh, could
but
you order from like Melbourne or something? Hey.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we actually have to place our order like by 5 p.m. Monday to ship Tuesday to get the following week. Or like it hasn't been too bad recently. You probably get it same day, but then if you're ordering Tuesday, then you're definitely not getting it this week. So
Mm,
or you just don't bank on it. So I think that's our biggest thing is just time to get it. But also the cost, like it seemed like on my spreadsheet. I still want our cost of the DTF to come down because it's still like it seems cheap, but it's still not that cheap on my spreadsheet. So I
Yeah.
think cost as well. But it is so nice and easy not to have to worry about that. But it seems like it's getting to the stage that I've just always been worried about it breaking down and then we've got an issue. Um, but it's getting to the stage that the machine's a bit more reliable. But I think also, I think it'd be important to have the right person to like it's one thing to like have the machine, but it's also another to like make it run well because we've had some oopsies here and there's a workwear place around the corner from us that we do some stuff they don't do. They have some stuff that can't get. So we sort of work together. And there's been some times they've got a DTF printer now, which I thought was interesting that they went that direction. But we had an oopsie here and we needed it like done like next day. So we hit them up and we got their DTF. And it's interesting because you can see they've got a machine that I've seen samples of, awesome prints. And then the stuff we got from them, I was like, ugh, their
oh,
edges are
dear.
not crisp at all. So it's like, just because you got the machine doesn't mean you're going to do it well. And it is very easy just to be able to order from someone who does it well and know that it's going to turn up more or less
Yeah,
right, hopefully.
yeah, I think that's well said.
Mm.
It's
Yep.
maybe the answer is a blend, you know.
Mm.
Um, here's one for you. We had a job recently for, I think it was 600 prints. No, there's 385 garments, two prints. So do the math. Um, and most of them were adults. A beautiful print, like it's one of the ones, Jacob, you'd look at and go, "I'm screen printing it." It was just awesome, and yet they had a lot of kiddies' garments in there. We can't put them on the big press; they don't fit. We don't have those kind of size patterns. We need another set of screens for a smaller print. Suddenly you go, hmm. So the answer was, well, obviously we'll do a simulated process for the big T's and we'll get DTF for the little T's. Those prints are going to look so different, right? So different. And so the answer the guys came up with, well, we'll just DTF the whole thing, which is what we did. And there's an example where something like the rocking press would just kill it. It'd be awesome. Working on a manual press, even if it's a two platen press, that's still going to take quite a while. And we don't have a two platen one. We just have the Hottronics single platen one, compressed air one. So it does a great job, but it's pretty slow. So that, there's an issue, right, going forward when we have a job like that. If we've got a rocking press, we've got our own DTF in house, we know that we can still make plenty of money out of it. We can spit it out pretty quickly. But it was such a nice print. It looked
Mm.
great on DTF, but it would have looked, well, it wouldn't have looked better on screen printing, but somehow it would have been better, if that makes sense. And there's,
Satisfaction would have been better.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Because DTF, you're just a fancy sticker applier.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Whereas screen printing, you're an artist.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
they are two drastically different ways to do things. Um, yeah, I think I did mention that earlier, or I did say it to you, but yeah, the ability to be able to do things like that. Like, imagine how much more you would have made on that job if
yeah,
you printed in house.
yeah,
You know, you your cost for the print's going to be a fifth of what it costs you to order them in. Um, so you probably on that one you've probably paid for you know a tenth of a machine in one job.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Mm. So
yeah.
yeah, it makes a lot of sense to you. I feel like Josh doesn't want a screen print anymore, so he needs to buy one because he's going to be a
Yeah,
DTF
absolutely.
shop totally going forward.
You know what you could do, Josh, is just turn your auto into an
It's
impress.
mad heat press.
Yeah, some
Yeah,
people are doing that.
Takes up
yeah.
way too much space for that. Need a little
Lots,
one.
Don't,
lots of
don't need a
places are doing
flash.
that. I hear.
Don't need a flash. Don't need an oven. Suddenly you got
Mhm.
enough power.
Mm.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, good point.
Might
Now
work.
that Taff has the stamps, I think. Hey.
Yeah.
Well, apparently they have the stamps. Yeah, I need to talk to them about that. That
You could
sounds like a
just,
really enjoyable thing to own.
Hmm.
if not, you could get a stampinator. Get one of those in, or two of those in, or three.
Yeah.
How many heads has your
Well,
press got?
Mine,
Yeah.
12.
Yeah, right. Get three stampinators.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
And still screen print on
Yeah.
it.
Why
yep,
not?
yep.
Why not? All
Unreal.
right. Well, I'm about ready for my bed after that long drive.
Mm.
But yeah, I'll call it a day. Thanks so much, Jacob, for coming on. It's great to
Happy
see
Yeah.
to.
you twice in 2 days.
Ah, look, one of the lucky few you are.
And yeah, thanks again for having me around yesterday. It was great. It's really nice
Yeah,
to be there.
lots of information to cram into a couple of hours.
Yeah, that was good. It was very good. Okay, I think that's it, Josh. Anything else to
Awesome.
say?
No, it's great.
All
Nice
right.
to have someone else on here. If anyone's keen to jump on and we can have mad chats, we'd love to hear from
Yeah,
you. You don't have to be some crazy printer or be anything special. We love everyone equally. Just
We
like
don't
you
mind.
guys
We
should
don't.
having mad yarn.
you guys should get some like brand owners on. I feel like that'd be a really good one. It's very
Yeah. Okay.
complementary industry to screen printing, so it'd be cool for you guys to hear it from get like a customer perspective of someone that
Mm.
does volume or deals with print shops very often. Also, they could you could talk a lot about the difference between local production and China.
Yeah, that's
That'd be a really
interesting.
cool one. Um,
That's a good
just
idea.
spitballing for you, chuck it on the whiteboard, see if it sticks.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Sounds good. All
yeah,
right. We'll catch you later, guys.
cool
Awesome.
beans.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
See
Thanks.
Thanks a
ya.
lot. See ya.